Chapter 1055. Okay, I agree to this bet. The torch dragon suddenly laughed. Interesting. Do you think you can beat me just because you beat Gomang? We'll know after we fight. Lin Muyu's tone was calm. This calmness made the torch dragon even angrier. He waved his swords and said, "Come on, Gomang. Get away from me. Don't get hurt by my sword chi." Gomang held his saber and said calmly, "Don't worry. I'm not that weak and you're not that strong. Torch dragon, remember to leave some leeway. Don't push things too far." "Humph, it's none of your business." Rustle, rustle, rustle. Fine sand flowed on the two swords. The torch dragon attacked like lightning, and the blade split the wall of space. It was so fast that no one could react. This was not a normal speed. It was a speed that accelerated time. Lin Muyu frowned. She stepped on the void, and her aura instantly became unfathomable. The domain of the invisible elephant shrank rapidly until it was only 2 or 3 steps away. It was in this distance that Lin Muyu's absolute domain was formed. In this small domain, any acceleration or delay of time would be ineffective, but the time left for Lin Muyu to react would also become very little. Clang. The Xinyuan sword collided with the opponent's thin sword, and a mighty divine power was transmitted. There were actually 97 waves of divine power. This torch dragon was really strong. Gomang was only at the 96th layer of heaven. Although the level of the grotto heaven did not mean absolute strength, it at least meant that the torch dragon's cultivation was no lower than Gomang's. Not bad? The torch dragon grinned, and the blade once again launched rapid attacks from different angles. Moreover, each sword had the acceleration effect of the sand of time. It was simply impossible to guard against. There were many gods who had mastered the samsara wheel, but there were not many who had mastered it to such a profound degree. Lin Muyu found it extremely difficult to deal with the attacks. She blocked with both the Xinyuan sword and the Eastern Flower sword, but she still couldn't block the torch dragon's frenzied attacks. The attack speed was simply too fast, so fast that she couldn't even react in time. "Be careful." Zhu Long roared and thrust his sword at Lin Muyu's neck. It was too late for her to dodge or parry. Lin Muyu shouted in a low voice. Immediately, the dragon blood shield condensed in front of her. Zhu Long's thin sword was shaken away, but Lin Muyu also felt a slight pain in her chest. The 7 luminaries' immortal gourd had been shattered, and her body had also suffered a certain degree of shock. "Is that all?" Zhu Long sneered. Lin Muyu did not speak. A bunch of gourd vines quietly spread out behind Torch Dragon and suddenly tied him up. Suddenly, the Xinyuan sword shone brightly and the power of 8 desolates flowed rapidly. Lin Muyu launched a determined strike. 5 elements, 8 wastelands, destruction. At that moment, Zhu Long was unable to move as a look of shock finally appeared on his face. The Xinyuan sword was extremely sharp. It directly pierced through the divine wall and slashed into Zhu Long's body. Swish! A sword light flashed and directly split Zhu Long's body into 2. Not good. Although Lin Muyu succeeded, she secretly cursed in her heart. It was too smooth. Zhu Long was not weak to this extent. Sure enough, there was no trace of blood on the blade. Zhu Long, who was split in 2, turned into rays of golden light and dissipated. This was just a fake body, the condensation of a kind of illusion. "You're so ruthless, kid." Zhu Long's voice came from behind. Lin Muyu slowly turned around, but she heard the sound of a sword cutting through the air behind her. What was going on? She quickly leaned back and saw a sword light flashing through the air. If she had not dodged quickly, she would have been cut in half by Zhu Long's sword. Before Lin Muyu could stabilize her body, another sword energy attacked in front of her. Why was there another attack? Lin Muyu quickly used the East Flower sword to block it, but found that there were 2 Zhu Long in front and behind her. Moreover, their attacks were real. What kind of illusion was this? Looking up, Zhu Long's dark golden eyes were filled with smugness. "You're still far from being able to fight me." Just now, she remembered Gomang's warning not to look into Zhu Long's eyes, but it was too late. Swoosh, swoosh, in the cold wind, 2 more Zhu Long figures appeared. He had already transformed into 4 people. Following that, attacks came from all directions. How could Lin Muyu resist? Her body was quickly hit. 7 or 8 swords slashed at the god wall, and the already thick god wall finally began to slowly peel off. In the distance, Gomang frowned. "Are we going to lose?" "Not really." Lin Muyu shouted in a low voice, and a rich golden light surged into his body, as if he was wearing a golden battle suit. Facing an expert like Zhu Long, he had no choice but to quickly enter the state of immortal golden body. Zhu Long couldn't help but be surprised. So its immortal golden body, no wonder you have the ability to defeat Gomang. However, you can't see through my illusion because it's too sudden. Immortal golden body is just a sandbag to be beaten. Just as Zhulong said, in the air Zhulong's illusion clones fell on Lin Muyu like meteors, launching a series of attacks. But Lin Muyu could only rely on the elephant wheel and immortal golden body to defend himself. In the blink of an eye he was already covered with cuts and bruises. He sank into his EC and thought hard. Why was it that he could not see through Zhulong's illusion, but he could only see that there were no waves in E-high like a clear mirror? When he sank to the surface of the water, his figure was reflected in the E-high, and the water rippled slightly, stirring up ripples. Yin and Yang, mutually reinforcing and restraining each other. In an instant he seemed to have a sudden realization. His spiritual perception quickly returned to his body, only to find that Zhulong's attacks were becoming more and more fierce. Buzz. Lin Muyu suddenly stepped into the void, and suddenly a huge golden Taishu celestial form appeared in the air, forming a horizontal plane. He ignored Zhulong's attack and flipped upside down. When his palm entered the Taishu, his whole body quickly disappeared from the air. Interesting. Gomang couldn't help but laugh. Swoosh. When Lin Muyu reappeared, he was in a dark chaos. In front of him, Zhulong moved quickly, standing in different directions to attack. It wasn't a group, but a single person. Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh. This was a space in a different dimension. Zhulong was actually not in the ancestral sorcerer's illusion at all, but launched many attacks from within. Being in the ancestral sorcerer's illusion, she naturally couldn't see through his attacks. Clang. The sword that was originally aimed at Lin Muyu's chest was shaken away by the Donghua sword. Ha! Zhulong couldn't help but be shocked. In the next moment Lin Muyu launched a fierce attack. She waved both swords continuously, and the chaos of all life, the demonic dance of the two luminaries, the calamity of all beings, and the cry of the four luminaries burst out in an instant. Each of the 7 luminaries' Shen energy was different from the other. The power, momentum, and method of activation were also different. Zhulong's continuous waving of both swords was unable to block it. Bam! The cry of the 4 luminaries' Shen landed on Zhulong's shoulder, causing light to scatter on the divine wall. The dimensional space was not a place for gods to come to. There was dimensional wind everywhere, and the gods who came here would constantly be baptized by the dimensional wind. In fact, it was a tactic that hurt the enemy by 1,000 and oneself by 800. However, Lin Muyu had the immortal golden body and could easily withstand the dimensional wind, but Zhulong wasn't. He was only the illusion sorcerer's ancestral sorcerer, not omnipotent. As the battle went on, Zhulong suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, showing signs of defeat. Swoosh! The Xianyuan sword spun in the air, turned into a golden light, and slammed into Zhulong's chest, causing him to retreat in a sorry state. Just as he was retreating, Lin Muyu's figure appeared behind him. The East Flower sword burst out with light, and thousands of rays of starlight swept across. Bang bang bang! The light of the 7 luminary stars' transformation penetrated Zhulong's body, and he disappeared with a grunt. It turned out that this body was also an illusion. However, there was a miserable howl in the gray space, and a black shadow flew out. Under the illumination of the starlight, it revealed its true appearance. This was Zhulong's true body. Enough, young hero, I've lost. Zhulong roared loudly. Lin Muyu turned her wrist, and the stars in the sky suddenly disappeared. She smiled and said, "Then, let's go back?" Yes. In the ancestral wizard's illusion, the light condensed into 2 figures. It was Lin Muyu and Zhulong who had returned from the dimensional space. Gomang saw the terrible wound on Zhulong's chest at a glance, and immediately understood. He smiled and said, "It seems that the winner has been decided. Zhulong, do you still want the Chiyu stone?" Zhulong looked a little dejected. The winner is king and the loser is bandit. Since Master has won, Zhulong is willing to serve Master. However, the Chiyu stone was originally a treasure of ancestral god Chiyu. I hope that Master will use the Chiyu stone well and not let the treasure become useless. Lin Muyu raised her eyebrows and said lightly, "I will deal with my things myself. I don't need you to remind me." Yes. Zhulong lowered his head. Zhulong was one of the 12 ancestral wizards. He was born arrogant and would only submit to people who were absolutely stronger than him. It was because Lin Muyu understood this that she spoke in a cold tone. The awe-inspiring aura of a king had greatly reduced Zhulong's arrogance. Moreover, it was at this moment that Lin Muyu realized that Gomang was actually lying. He said that his strength was the weakest among the 4 ancestral wizards, but now it seemed that he might be the strongest. So, what do we do now? Gomang asked. Lin Muyu landed on the ground and said, rest for a day and wait for Dijiang and Changliang to challenge us. Zhulong also landed and immediately knelt on one knee. He said respectfully, Master, Changliang is a defeated opponent. If he really comes, Zhulong can take care of him. You don't need to do anything. What about Dijiang? Lin Muyu asked. Gomang couldn't help but stroke his beard and smiled. Dijiang is very fast. I'm afraid he has already arrived. But don't worry, young hero. When Dijiang comes, Gomang will fight him. Lin Muyu chuckled. That's good. Chapter 1056. In the end they waited for 3 days. Lin Muyu had recovered her strength to its peak state within these 3 days. She even had a slight breakthrough in the battle with Zhu Long, entering the 82nd Grotto Heaven realm. Within these 3 days, Gomang only meditated while Zhu Long climbed the tree and fell into a deep sleep. Both of their cultivation methods were very unique, unlike Lin Muyu who had to cultivate the shapeless elephant spell, breathing and so on. In the morning, a drizzle fell on the witch ancestor's illusion. Although this was an illusion, it was actually a real world. It was just that Zhu Long distorted the space and made it merge with the corpse cultivation plane. One was yang, one was yin. The witch ancestor's illusion was yang, while the corpse cultivation plane was yin. Just like the shadow of the moon on the river, they depended on each other and existed together. Why aren't Dijiang and Changliang here yet? Lin Muyu couldn't wait because she still didn't know if Qin Yin had successfully detoxified the poison with the help of the Ganoderma. Soon, don't worry, master. Zhu Long smiled and said, it's hard for people to see through Dijiang's form. Maybe he's already here but he's just testing and doesn't want to come out to see us. Lin Muyu frowned. These ancient gods were indeed very strange, but it seemed like Dijiang wouldn't be too weak. At this moment, a man's melodious singing came from the endless rain. The drizzle is like silk, moistening my mulberry fields. The rain is like silk, washing my clothes. The heavy rain is like grains, drowning my home. Alas, the water is controlled, the water is controlled. Lin Muyu's scalp went numb. Was this Dijiang? A man with his own BGM? BGM equals background music, background music. In the rain, the sound of flapping wings could be heard. A man holding a dagger slowly appeared. He had 4 fiery red wings on his back, and his appearance was a little strange. He had a thunderous face and a pair of pea-sized eyes stared at Lin Muyu. He growled, You are the one who killed the vengeful spirit of ancestor god Qiyu? Lin Muyu stood up. Are you Dijiang? You're courting death. Dijiang's figure suddenly disappeared, and the next moment he charged at Lin Muyu's chest like a bolt of lightning. The dagger pierced through the rain, extremely sharp and fast. No wonder he was the fastest among the 4 great ancestral sorcerers. However, when Dijiang got close to Lin Muyu, he felt an irresistible domain, like layers of cotton wool, preventing his dagger from piercing through. Instead, the kid suddenly swung a long sword with a dazzling light, and with a bam, Dijiang and his dagger were sent flying back. Flames soared into the sky, stirring up the curtain of rain and creating a huge fire barrier. Dijiang had already entered battle mode in an instant. Dijiang, don't be angry. Gomang shouted. Zhulong was also flying in the sky. Dijiang, Gomang and I have decided to serve our new master. This Lin Muyu is our new master. Why do you wish to be our enemy? Emperor Jiang was stunned and said, Candle Dragon. Gomang, do you still remember who you are? You are the protectors of the Jiuli tribe, the ancestral witches of ancestral god Qiyu. Have you forgotten? No, we haven't. Gomang's voice was calm, but each word was sonorous. Dijiang, you are too stubborn. The Jiuli tribe is long gone. Ancestral god Qiyu has turned into 3 spirits. The Qiyu stone is in Lin Muyu's hands now. We can't violate the rules set by the ancestral god anymore. Whoever has the Qiyu stone will be our new leader. Qiyu stone? Where is the Qiyu stone? Dijiang yelled. Lin Muyu reached into her Qingquan bag and raised the Qiyu stone. Here. Hey. Dijiang laughed. He suddenly disappeared in the wind. The next moment, a powerful cold light went straight for Lin Muyu's arm. It was Dijiang's dagger. He wanted to cut off Lin Muyu's arm and take the Qiyu stone. This guy was really stubborn. But Lin Muyu wasn't that easy to deal with. Dijiang was fast but Lin Muyu wasn't slow either. With a light flick of her palm, her entire body was covered in a layer of golden light. She flipped the Shenyuan sword, and with the power of 5 elements and 8 wastelands, she slammed it onto Dijiang's dagger. Bang! The might of the strike sent Dijiang tumbling backward as he retreated dozens of meters. He was good at speed, but he was inferior to Gomang and Torch Dragon in terms of strength. As such, he was no match for Lin Muyu in her undying golden body state. "What are you doing? Dijiang, you are crazy," Gomang yelled. Dijiang's face was full of hatred. "How can the four ancestors of witchcraft submit to others? How can the four ancestors of witchcraft submit to others? You are the crazy ones. Did we cultivate for 10,000 years just to submit to a brat like this? You two come with me. Kill him and take the Chiyu stone. Isn't it better for us to be the masters?" Hiss. Dragon Dijiang's movements slowed down. He flicked his tongue. Gomang was a little anxious. Once Dragon Dijiang wavered, it would be difficult to handle. In an instant, the whirlwind on the saber danced. Gomang shouted and rushed to Dijiang. "You want to kill him? Get through me first." With a rumble, Dijiang's dagger blocked Gomang's saber, but he was forced to retreat. Gomang's body shone brightly as he raised his strength to the limit. He struck Dijiang 3 times in a row. Dijiang had no chance to fight back. When the 4th strike was about to land, Dijiang suddenly retreated. His face was full of arrogance. Gomang, I'm done. I admit defeat." Dijiang's mouth and nose were already bleeding from the impact of the wood power, and he looked extremely miserable. Zhulong couldn't help but fall silent, his heart pounding. The 4 great shaman ancestors had lived together in the illusion for many years, but they'd never truly fought against each other. Zhulong was well aware of Dijiang's strength, but Dijiang couldn't even take 4 strikes from Gomang. Gomang's strength was probably above his own. In the past, Gomang had the last say among the 4 ancestral magi. No one thought much of the wood ancestral magus, but from the looks of it, it was Gomang who didn't want to vie for it, not the other way around. Dragon Dijiang took a deep look at Lin Muyu, who was standing on the ground. He watched calmly in the face of such a big battle, which showed that he was very sure of Gomang's strength. For a moment, Dragon Dijiang was confused. He really didn't know why Gomang was willing to show his true strength for this kid. Besides, the Chiyu stone was in his hands. "Forget it, surrender for now." Gomang lowered the saber in his hand and said lightly, "Lin Muyu has the Chiyu stone in her hand. The overlord spirit of Chiyu in the stone has now dissipated. Ancestor God left the last words that whoever gets the Chiyu stone will be the new leader. Dijiang, have you forgotten the last words of Ancestor God? Now Lin Muyu is the new leader of our Jiuli tribe. Whoever dares to disobey Gomang will be the first to kill him." Dijiang fell to the ground with the dagger in his hand. He knelt on one knee in front of Lin Muyu and said, Dijiang is unreasonable. Please don't take it to heart, master. Please forgive me." Lin Muyu nodded and smiled. "Get up and heal yourself. We'll leave here when Changliang comes." Dijiang was stunned. "Master, you want to leave the ancestral sorcerer's dreamland?" "Yes. Leave the ancestral sorcerer's dreamland and enter the 64 domains. I need your power to help me settle the 64 domains. Then find a way to leave the prehistoric mystery land. Help me gather Xing Tian's heavenly army and Gong Gong's navy. Then we'll go back to the East Heaven realm and become gods." "Go back to the divine realm?" Dijiang seemed to be still in a daze. Lin Muyu said, "Don't you feel that this place is like a cage after staying in the ancestral sorcerer's dreamland for so many years? And you are prisoners. You've been locked in this cage for so many years. That's enough. If you recognize me as the new leader, I'll naturally take you out." Good, that's great." Dijiang seemed a little excited and knelt again. "Thank you for your kindness, master." It seemed that the 4 great ancestral sorcerers' overlord spirit must be the restriction of the Chiyu stone. That's why the 4 great ancestral sorcerers' dreamland were always in the ancestral sorcerer's dreamland. Otherwise, who would be willing to stay here? Dijiang sat down to heal his wounds. Flames danced around him and the 4 wings behind him slowly spread out. These 4 wings were different from Qin Yin's golden wings. They were more like real wings instead of energy bodies. "Where is Changliang? Maybe we should go find him?" Lin Muyu was a little impatient. Gomang pondered and said, "Leader, Changliang is the furthest from here. He's in the Dreamland Desert thousands of miles away. But he'll come when he feels our call. It'll just take a while. If we go find him, I'm afraid we won't even know where he is. So please wait patiently." Lin Muyu said, "Once Changliang comes, will there be trouble again?" "Definitely not," Zhulong said. "What? It's very simple. 3 of the 4 great ancestral sorcerer have already surrendered to you. Changliang's strength is ranked last among the 4 great ancestral sorcerers. Does this kid have any other choice but to surrender? Zhulong's mouth curled into a sinister smile. He was very cunning by nature. Even if he surrendered to Lin Muyu, the new leader, he still retained that kind of cunning and slyness that didn't easily trust others. Lin Muyu sighed. She had no choice but to continue to wait. She only hoped that Chang Liang would come early. With the 4 great ancestral sorcerers subordinates under Qiyu, they should have more confidence to challenge and conquer other forces when they return to the 64 domains. After all, Zhulong's cultivation base was at the 97th level of Grotto Heaven, Gomang's cultivation base was at the 96th level of Grotto Heaven, and Dijiang's cultivation base was at the 95th level of Grotto Heaven. Any one of them was an existence that could destroy the world in the 64 domains. With her and Xiao's strength, it was not an exaggeration to say that they could sweep the 64 domains. At this time, a group of visitors came to the Falling Star Domain, one of the 11 southern domains. It was a group of experts who came to visit secretly in the middle of the night. Dozens of people in black robes entered the domain castle of the Falling Star Domain under the moonlight and were welcomed into the main hall by Zheng Xian. Swoosh. Under the light, a group of people took their seats. The person closest to Zheng Xian lifted his cloak and revealed an unruly face. It was the domain lord of the Fire Lion Domain, Zhuang Fei. The others also lifted their cloaks, and their eyes were full of radiance. Chapter 1057. Zheng Xian thanks all of you for coming to the Starfall region. Zheng Xian stood up and cupped his hands towards the crowd, saying, Region Lord Zhuang Fei of the Fiery Lion region, Region Lord Zhang Yugong of the Imperishable region, Region Lord Shibuhui of the Carrier region, and the heroes of the 3 great regions, I, Zheng Xian, greet you. Everyone cupped their fists. You are too kind, Region Lord Zheng Xian. Zhuang Fei narrowed his eyes and smiled. Are you sure about Region Lord Zheng Xian's information? Is Lin Muyu of the Dragon League really dead? Very much so. Zheng Xian said, in order to find the antidote for Qin Yin, Lin Muyu dared to barge into the corpse-nurturing plane alone. The corpse-nurturing plane is a place where living people are not allowed to enter. Even gods do not dare to act rashly. Lin Muyu's aura completely disappeared on the 2nd day he entered the corpse-nurturing plane. My men in the corpse-nurturing plane also reported that Lin Muyu was gravely injured and killed by a mysterious person. Wonderful. Zhuang Fei could not help but clap his hands and laugh. Lin Muyu's ambition is clear. With his death we can finally relax. Chang Yugong of the Imperishable region had a mustache. His eyes were full of cunning. He smiled. Then Region Lord Zheng Xian must have something important to discuss? Zheng Xian could not help but laugh. It is so tiring to talk like this. Why don't we be frank? This time, Zheng Xian invited all of you here to unite the 4 regions to destroy the Dragon League in one fell swoop and divide the Dragon League's territory and treasures. Good, that's how it should be. The region lord of the earth-bearing region, Shibuhui, smiled and said, however, I don't know how this will be divided. I think we should first discuss how it will be divided. This way we can all contribute our strength, am I right? Zhuang Fei nodded in agreement. Zheng Xian smiled. Simple. The 4 regions will contribute and divide the territory according to the number of people we send. How about it? Longfish Bao smiled faintly. That's easy. The imperishable realm can mobilize 11 god emperors, 200 divine kings, and 700 divine venerables. How should we split the spoils? Zheng Xian didn't say anything. He just looked at Zhuang Fei. Zhuang Fei laughed out loud. The Fiery Lion region will definitely send out all its forces. 17 god thearchs, 0 god kings, and 800 godly venerables. What do you think? Zheng Xian remained silent and looked at Shibuhui. Shibuhui clapped his hands and smiled. Looks like we can't let the territorial lords underestimate the earth-bearing region. The earth-bearing region is willing to send out 8 celestial emperors, 187 divine kings, and 1100 hierarchs. Everyone took a deep breath. Everyone knew that the earth-bearing domain was powerful, but no one expected Shibuhui to have so many hierarch realm experts. More than 1,000. It was a scale that only the ultimate major domain could have. Even the Eternal Domain and the Fiery Lion Domain, the top 3 domains in the West, did not have so many hierarch realm experts. Zheng Xian laughed and said, that's great. We have a total of 46 emperor gods, over 800 divine kings, and over 3,000 hierarch gods. With such a powerful army, we can easily crush Dragon City and share the Dragon Alliance with us. But the territorial lord still hasn't said how the Dragon League's territories will be divided. Zhuang Fei smiled faintly. Zheng Xian said, How about this? Territorial Lord Zhuang Fei will take Dragon City alone. The Falling Star region is willing to take Golden Dragon region, the Imperishable region will take Sparrow region, and the Earth-bearing region will take Sky Foothill region. How about that? Alright, it's a deal. Zhuang Fei's eyes lit up as he clapped his hands. Dragon City used to be a castle in the Raging Fire region. It was also the largest and wealthiest castle in the south. He was more than happy to agree. Chang Yugong and Shi Buhui looked at each other and didn't say anything. The Fiery Lion region was the strongest among the 4 regions after all. It was reasonable for Zhuang Fei to take Dragon City. The two nodded. Zheng Xian said happily, then we will gather in the Falling Star region 3 days later. Once the sky turns dark, we will rush to Dragon City and crush it to dust. However, please don't hold back. There's Blazing Angel Shi Yan in Dragon City, and Tang Xiaoxi with the Fire Overgod Godhead. Feng Zhanlin, Mochi Lin, and the others aren't easy to deal with either. We must do our best to destroy the Dragon League with minimal losses. Alright. Everyone raised their glasses and drank to celebrate the division of Dragon City. They didn't know that Xiao Fairy, who had destroyed the Spirit Wind region and the Ancient Desolation region, was here again. Zhuang Fei had a good plan. If he could get Dragon City and the Fiery Lion region's castle, the 2 most powerful castles in the south and west would belong to him. Then he would have the power to fight against the Heaven-devouring region. Chang Yugong and Shi Buhui were just fishing in troubled waters. It would be better if they could get more benefits, and they could escape the fate of being attacked by the Dragon League. After all, the best defense was offense. As for Zheng Xian, he was the most afraid. What Lin Muyu said last time was still vivid in his mind. The Falling Star region might be the first to be destroyed by the Dragon League. Therefore, the bigger the mess, the better. It would be best if they could destroy the Dragon League with the power of the other 3 regions. Even if they couldn't destroy it, they could weaken the Dragon League so that it wouldn't be able to attack the Falling Star region again. Everyone had their own thoughts, and it was these thoughts that led to this alliance. Dragon City. Qin Yin, who was lying on the bed, was reading an ancient book about the 64 regions. She put down the book in boredom and asked, Xiaoxi, has you not come back yet? No, don't worry. Tang Xiaoxi chuckled. What? You miss him so soon? No. Qin Yin blushed. She probably felt that her denial was too weak. She smiled and said, You wicked girl, don't you miss him? I do. Tang Xiaoxi confessed. She looked worried and said, But Mu's aura suddenly disappeared. Even Sister Xiao couldn't find her in the North Tianluan region. I really don't know what to do. Qin Yin frowned and said, My body will fully recover in about 3 days. 3 days later we will go to the corpse cultivation plain together. Okay. Outside the door, a slim figure was sitting on the red railing. Was Shi Yan. She silently looked at the swaying bamboo forest in the courtyard. Her eyes were faint as she said, Several powerful forces have gathered in the direction of the Luoxing domain. Have you sensed it? Xiao leaned on the pillar and smiled. Of course. Shi Yan chuckled. If I'm not wrong, one of the auras should belong to the Fire Lion region Lord Zhuang Fei. I've seen this person before. He's greedy and ruthless. The other auras are not good people. Zheng Xian, that idiot, is probably plotting something bad again. Now that Yu is not in Dragon City, the big regions are probably going to attack Dragon City. We don't need to wait for you to come back. We can defeat this motley crew. Xiao took a deep look at Shi Yan and smiled. If you didn't lose your cultivation, I'm afraid you could destroy more than half of the 64 regions by yourself. How is it? Doesn't it feel different when your strength is not as good as before? That's really different. The clowns that you could crush with one finger in the past can now ride on your chest and do whatever they want. Why ride on your chest? Xiao was a little speechless. Shi Yan giggled and said, Xiao, after cultivating for tens of thousands of years, don't tell me you haven't tasted the feeling between a man and a woman? Xiao's weakness was exposed, but her expression was still calm. She said, Grandmaster once warned me that practicing our sex mantra with a virgin body will yield twice the results with half the effort. Nonsense. Shi Yan said, I can see that the 7 luminaries demon emperor of the Eastern Heaven realm likes you very much. You can't miss this opportunity. This kind of man is very rare. If you miss it, there won't be another one. Is that so? The corner of Xiao's mouth raised slightly. If the demon emperor is a good man, well, forget it. Let me tell you something. 5 years ago, when the demon emperor went on a crusade against the border of the Northern Heaven realm, he obtained a lot of prisoners of war. Among them were the 14 female war gods of the Northern Heaven realm. Guess what? The demon emperor spent 2 weeks to punish them separately. I won't marry this womanizer. Compared to him, you is much better. Shi Yin couldn't help but laugh. But you is also a womanizer. He likes Xiao Yin and Xiao Shi. He also has an ambiguous relationship with Chu Yao of the Broken Cauldron realm. Also, there's a lot of sisters. See Kong Yao, Jin Xiaoteng, Wei Chou and so on. I don't want to talk about them anymore. Xiao interrupted her. Wait, Wei Chou is a man, right? Don't think I don't know anything. You saw through me? Shi Yin stuck out her tongue. Xiao couldn't help but laugh. Shi Yin, you really can't see through me. Why do I have to see through you? Anyway. Shi Yin raised the corner of her mouth. Anyway, in a few days the two of us will most likely fight the enemy side by side. I didn't expect that you and I would actually face the enemy side by side. Yes. Xiao nodded. There are many experts in the Blazing Lion region and the Falling Star region. There are hundreds of God the Arch Realm experts. Shi Yin, how is your strength recovering? How much pressure can you share with me? Shi Yin pondered and said, I have just recovered to the God the Arch Realm. I have used up too much of my strength. I can't fight many people in a short time. If they send 200 God Thearchs, I will fight too. The other 198 will depend on you. Xiao clenched her fist. Her beautiful face was in high spirits. No problem, leave it to me. 3 days later, in the Ancestor Wizard's illusory realm, thunder rumbled in the morning. Dark clouds rolled in the sky. It seemed like a heavy rain was about to fall. Is it going to rain? Lin Muyu sat on a tree branch and asked. It's not rain. Someone is coming. Gomong smiled faintly. We have been waiting for him. As expected, there was thunder but no rain. Chang Liang was the Thunder Ancestral Wizard. His control over thunder and lightning was the strongest among the 12 ancestral wizards. His entrance was domineering. He had only walked for 3 days, but Lin Muyu had subconsciously listed him as someone with no sense of direction. Among the rolling dark clouds, a person descended from the sky. He looked like a centaur, but he held a python in his hand. He also had a venomous snake in his mouth. The venomous snake twisted its body slowly, sending chills down one's spine. Chang Liang, come and greet the new leader. Gomong shouted loudly. Chang Liang was indeed the weakest of the 4 ancestral wizards. He landed in front of Lin Muyu without any resistance. Thunder Ancestral Wizard Chang Liang greets the leader. Why are you holding a snake and having another in your mouth? Lin Muyu felt that her worldview was challenged. She was very unhappy. Chang Liang stammered, that's because, he couldn't explain it for a long time. Because of the setting. Chapter 1058. The 4 great ancestral sorcerers were all present and stood respectfully in front of Lin Muyu, awaiting her orders. A light drizzle fell in the ancestral sorcerer's illusion, nourishing all living things and making people feel relaxed and happy. Lin Muyu smelled the fresh air of the wilderness. This place was much more pleasing to the eye than the corpse breeding fields. He looked at the 4 Grand Sorcerer ancestors and asked, Are there only 4 of you in the entire Grand Sorcerer Dreamland? Yes, Chief, the Candle Dragon said respectfully. Then leave and return to the 64 domains. Your mission to protect the Star Stone has ended. Chang Liang did not react and said, We are leaving now. Why are you reluctant? Lin Muyu smiled faintly and said, The Grand Sorcerer Dreamland is just a corner of the 64 domains. There is a bigger and more vast place out there. I need your strength to help me sweep through the 64 domains. Yes, I understand. Chang Liang nodded and coiled the giant snake around his waist instead of holding it in his mouth. Otherwise, this new chief seemed to be on the verge of going berserk. Lin Muyu glanced at the Candle Dragon and said, All right, take us out of the Grand Sorcerer Dreamland. Yes, Chief. The Candle Dragon cupped his fists respectfully and muttered to himself. Divine power flew out of his body and the earth trembled in the blink of an eye. Countless golden lights shone from the surface of the earth, and the entire world was reversed in an instant. Yin and Yang exchanged places, and the soil under their feet became wet and soft. A faint stench spread out. They were already in the corpse cave basin of the corpse breeding fields, which was also the place where Lin Muyu left. Finally back. Seeing the familiar corpse cave basin, Lin Muyu could not help but feel excited. But not far away the rolling corpse beasts were roaring and hitting the stone walls, making loud banging sounds. General Hua rode on the giant elephant and said loudly, Train well. One day we will avenge our master and take back my Dong Hua sword. Lin Muyu could not help but laugh and coughed. General Hua turned around and was so scared that his face turned pale. He took a few steps back and said, "Did I see a ghost?" "You are a ghost. How can you say you saw a ghost?" Lin Muyu said. "Young hero, you came back from the ancestral sorcerer's illusion. Then aren't these the legendary?" General Hua shuddered. Only then did he see Gomang Zhulong and the other oddly shaped fellows. Every single one of them had strong divine power and aura. Every single one of them was a perfected god emperor ancient god. Lin Muyu smiled and said, "I don't need to introduce me. Behind me are the 4 ancestors of the Grand Sorcerer Dreamland. They have already followed me. So, General Hua Master. And General Hua Master you I you Hua you all I Muyu I and to kill." General Hua hurriedly rolled down from the back of the elephant and said, "I Hua can pay my respects to everyone. Grand Wizard Ancestor, I am a commander under your master. Everyone please, there's no need to say any more." Gomang interrupted him and said, "You are a minion of Ancestor God Chi Yu's spiritual sense, so we won't kill you. You should stay in the corpse-nurturing plains and take care of yourself. Leader has other matters to attend to, so he doesn't have time to waste with you. Take care of yourself." "Yes, yes." General Hua kowtowed repeatedly. Lin Muyu leaped up and disappeared into the sky of the corpse-nurturing plain along with the 4 great ancestral sorcerers. From afar, a ray of light could be seen converging on the ground. It was Fuzhou. He had waited bitterly for nearly half a month and he finally got to see Lin Muyu. In the western suburbs of Dragon City, the sky was filled with streaks of light and fire. The experts from the Fiery Lion region, the Falling Star region, and the other 3 regions arrived one after another. They planned to launch a surprise attack before dawn. However, their auras couldn't escape the senses of Xiao and Shiyan. The moment the 4 regions gathered at the Falling Star region, Xiao already knew when they would attack. In the wilderness of the western suburbs, the members of the Dragon League were hiding in the weeds. Feng Zhanlin looked up at the streaks of light and fire in the sky and couldn't help licking his lips. What a bunch of lunatics. The Fiery Lion region and the Falling Star region have turned out in full force. It's all thanks to Xiao Fairy's warning. Otherwise, if the Dragon City was attacked, we wouldn't have the time to react. Machi Lin gripped his weapon tightly and said, "When do we attack?" A towering tree stood in the wilderness like a phoenix crown. Inside the tree, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi stood side by side, looking at the attackers in the sky from afar. Qin Yin, carrying the Nuwa zither on her back, shook her head and said, "Don't be hasty. Let half of them pass. We'll attack from the middle and disrupt their plans in an instant so that they can't connect the front and the back." "Yes." "Xiaoxi, are you nervous?" Qin Yin asked with a smile. Tang Xiaoxi giggled, the bottom gust spear in her hand glowing. "How could I be? In any case, I'm a veteran of hundreds of battles. The 4 regions really have the guts to attack the Dragon City. They definitely didn't expect that Sister Xiao is already in the Dragon City. If Mu is also here, they'll definitely suffer the consequences this time." Qin Yin smiled. "Even if Brother Yu isn't here, they'll still suffer the consequences. If they want to touch the Dragon City, they should have thought about the consequences waiting for them." As she spoke, Qin Yin ordered from afar, "When the battle starts, don't kill them all. Focus on making them lose the ability to resist. Capture more, kill less." Feng Zhanlin and Feng Zhanhai nodded in unison. "Yes." Tang Xiaoxi blinked her eyes with a hint of doubt. "Where did Sister Xiao go?" "I don't know. She said she went to catch up with Zhuang Fei. Sister Xiao still knows Zhuang Fei." "Who knows? It's about time, get ready to attack." "Yes." Qin Yin gently waved her snow-white arm, and suddenly, the Nuwa zither was already in front of her chest. She looked at the vast sky above and said, "I'll force them to come down. Everyone get ready to attack." As she spoke, she gently stroked the Nuwa zither with both hands. In an instant, a stream of light surged and swept across the land like a tide. At the same time, dense golden zither energy appeared in the air. Although the sound of the zither did not spread in the air, the vast impact made the flying gods stop in their tracks. The golden energy instantly formed a huge wall, blocking everyone's path. Ping ping ping, some ultimate gods and deity kings who could not dodge in time hit the giant wall, spitting out blood as they fell. Attack! Feng Zhanlin, Feng Zhanhai, and the rest pulled out their weapons and rushed forward. In an instant, the wild forest in the night was like countless fireflies flying into the sky. Waves of energy surged and light bloomed in the sky. The divine powers of the gods collided with each other, emitting colorful lights and turning the night into day in the blink of an eye. Swoosh! Tang Xiaoxi flew among the crowd like a meteor. Her Tig's spear was indestructible, stabbing one expert after another. In a short moment the gods could not react in time. None of them could block Tang Xiaoxi's powerful penetrating power, especially the blazing firepower of her great fire technique. It was not something that ordinary divine powers could withstand. Little girl, you're courting death. The Fiery Lion Region's deputy region master swung his spear and attacked Tang Xiaoxi from behind. The divine power waves overlapped and were very dazzling. But before he could reach Tang Xiaoxi, a shapeless divine power beside him smashed heavily into his armpit. With a ping sound, the divine wall was shaken to the point where light scattered everywhere. The deputy region master hurriedly turned around and looked fiercely at the attacker. To his surprise, he discovered that it was Qin Yin, the god the arch-expert who wielded the Nuwa zither. You're courting death. The deputy region master shouted. His spear carried a great amount of divine power and flew over. His aura was like 10,000 galloping horses and falling stars. The weapon in his hand turned into thousands of spear tips and attacked Qin Yin with great energy. The corners of Qin Yin's mouth curled up, revealing her beautiful little dimples. A golden wave flowed through the Nuwa zither, and a strong wind suddenly swirled around her, forming a perfect wind barrier around her. The tip of the opponent's spear kept bursting with golden energy, but it could not move Qin Yin at all. Instead, Tang Xiaoxi stabbed the Dig's spear from behind. Ha! The deputy region master turned around to block, but he was caught off guard. Tang Xiaoxi opened her hand and used the Fire God Seal. The Fire God Seal hit his chest heavily and injured him slightly. There were a few more invisible attacks behind him. It was the Great Hope sound from the Nuwa zither. Wah! The deputy region master of the Fiery Lion region spat out a mouthful of blood. Many of the bones on his back and chest were broken. He was in a sorry state and could not even use 30% of his strength. Another beautiful girl appeared beside him. It was Luo Xingtian from the Dragon League. She was also a god the arch-expert. Luo Xingtian did not hold back and launched a series of fierce attacks. She shouted in a delicate voice, "Get down and be bound." The deputy region master looked up at the sky and saw the Chiwe sword that had split into countless rays of light. The woman in the sky was extremely majestic, and the 6 wings behind her were dazzling. It was Seraph Shiyen. Although Shiyen had only recovered to the god the arch realm, she had the identity and cultivation of Seraph. It was not a problem for her to fight half of the Fiery Lion region. At this moment she was doing the same. She alone blocked half of the people from the Fiery Lion region. Together with Feng Zhanlin, Feng Zhanhai, and the others, the Fiery Lion region alone was not a match for the Dragon League. Sigh. The deputy region lord let out a long sigh and landed on the ground. If he continued to resist, he would most likely die. The people from the Meteorite region and the Earth-bearing region are here. After half an hour, Niu Geng appeared in front of Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi with blood all over his body. After fighting for a long time, everyone was separated and fighting each other. The western suburbs were filled with godly state experts from both sides. It was hard to determine the winner. After all, they had the numbers. Once the Meteorite territory and the Earth-bearing territory attacked together, it was obvious that Qin Yin, Shiyen, and the others wouldn't be able to resist them. After all, dozens of Celestial the Arch Realm experts weren't just for show. As expected, Tang Xiaoxi squinted her eyes and looked at the sky. Streams of light were flying towards them. Hong. It was Shi Buhui, the region master of the Earth-bearing region with a flaming battle saber. Tang Xiaoxi was the first to face the enemy. The flames of the Burgos spear surged towards Shi Buhui's battle saber. Clang. The flames burst out and a wave of flames swept the surroundings. Tang Xiaoxi was forced to take a few steps back. Her face was filled with shock. Shi Buhui was indeed powerful. That. Shi Buhui roared. He spun his long saber and attacked Tang Xiaoxi, Luo Xingtian, Niu Geng, and the others in an arc. He was ruthless. He was planning to kill so many people from the Dragon League. Chapter 1059. Tang Xiaoxi and Qin Yin had been fighting for a long time and had used up more than half of their divine power. Naturally, they were no match for Shi Buhui, who was at the 87th level of Grotto Heaven. Even Qin Yin was overwhelmed by the slash. Hum. The sound of the Guqin was heard and the energy of hope sound was ready to be released. However, Qin Yin wasn't confident that she could block Shi Buhui's attack. In the air, Shi Yan looked over and said, "Be careful." Wu, Tang Xiaoxi and Luo Xingtian both assumed a defensive stance. 34C and 32B were surging with divine power in front of them. Niu Geng was gritting his teeth, but he was powerless. The difference in strength was too great. Swoosh. Just as Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Shi Yan, and the others' hearts were in their throats, a spatial crack suddenly flashed in the air with a bang, and then a figure fell from the sky. His toes stepped on the furious thunder and fell like a meteor. With a bang, his combat boots stepped on Shi Buhui's tyrannical saber energy and directly stomped the saber energy into the ground. The bottom of his feet roared, and the crisis of this saber was quickly resolved. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi opened their mouths wide and looked at the back of this person. They missed him so much. It was none other than Lin Muyu. He turned around and smiled brightly. "Xiaoyin, Xiaoxi, it seems that I'm not late. You're finally back." Qin Yin's voice was trembling. Tang Xiaoxi pouted and looked unhappy. However, everyone knew that she was faking it. "Let's get rid of the strong enemy in front of us first." Lin Muyu raised her hand and pulled out the Xinyuan sword. At the same time, with a wave of her left hand, the Donghua sword, along with its scabbard, fell into the soil in front of Qin Yin. She smiled and said, "Little Yin, this is a gift for you. Use it as a sword." Qin Yin raised her hand, and the Donghua sword was unsheathed with a clang. The blade of the sword was shining brightly. The power and sharpness of this sword were many times stronger than the star sword. Qin Yin was pleasantly surprised. "Thank you, Brother Ayu. Do you need me and Xiaoyin to help?" "No need. You guys fight the small fries. Leave this person to me." Lin Muyu held the Xinyuan sword and looked at Shi Buhui. "You look familiar. Who are you?" Shi Buhui gritted his teeth. "Alliance leader Lin, you're so forgetful. I'm Shi Buhui. I'm the Earthlode region leader Shi Buhui. Have you forgotten me? A lowly person. I don't remember." Shi Buhui trembled with anger. "Where are the brothers of the Earthlode region? Kill them all. The Dragon League must perish today. As long as the Dragon League is not destroyed, we won't be able to eat or sleep in peace." In the sky, thousands of stars twinkled. They were the followers of the Earthlode region. In terms of numbers, the Earthlode region had the advantage in numbers. "What? Do you think you're the only ones with help?" Lin Muyu laughed. "Gomeng, are you still not going to show yourself? At your command, leader." In the sky, a muffled thunder-like sound descended. Immediately after, four beams of golden light fell in midair with a swoosh. One by one human figures appeared. Each of them was standing on a huge golden wheel. It was the legendary divine wheel. For god Thearchs of the Daemon Garden had arrived. "Oh my god," Shi Buhui's heart skipped a beat. The information was wrong. Zheng Xian from the Fallen Star region didn't mention that Lin Muyu had so many perfected god Thearchs under her. Moreover, all of their faces were ferocious and didn't look like they were easy to deal with. If 4 god wheel experts were to attack, the Earthlode region would probably be removed from the list of 64 domains. Lin Muyu looked up at the sky and shouted, "Cultivators of the Earthlode region, Shi Buhui's greed knows no bounds. He actually wants to invade the Dragon League. Do you want to die with him? Now I'll give you a choice. Join the Dragon League and become my subordinates. Of course there's another choice. Become the enemy of the Dragon League and disappear from the 64 domains." With that, Lin Muyu shouted, "Gomeng Zhulong, what are you waiting for? Kill Shi Buhui." As soon as she finished speaking, the Xianyuan sword had already struck out. The first strike was the extremely powerful 6 elements calamity. Shi Buhui's face was pale with regret. What else could he do now? There was no turning back. Everyone understood that if he were Lin Muyu, he wouldn't have been allowed to leave alive today. Once the domain master died, most of the followers would naturally surrender. This was also the reason why Lin Muyu gave the order to kill him. The flames on the saber surged as Shi Buhui faced the 6 elements calamity head-on. Bang! How could he block it? He was blasted back nearly 100 meters. When he looked up, he saw Lin Muyu covered in golden light charging towards him. The Xianyuan sword struck again, 5 mountains descending from the heavens. Shi Buhui complained incessantly. He raised his saber to block, but with a clang, his saber was split into 2 by Lin Muyu. The saber was destroyed and he was dead. Shi Buhui was in despair. 2 powerful attacks came from behind him. It was the joint attack of Gomeng and Zhulong. Any one of them had the ability to kill Shi Buhui within 10 moves, let alone when they joined forces. PFFF. Gomang's saber and rapier pierced Shibuhui's body at the same time. The three experts activated their divine power at the same time. In the next moment, Shibuhui's body was vaporized. An 87th Heavenly the Arch-Realm expert was killed as easily as crushing an ant. Lin Muyu looked at the sky again and said, "As long as you are willing to join the Dragon League, I will let bygones be bygones." In the sky, the thousands of deity realm experts from the earth-bearing region were dumbfounded. In the end, one person floated down. It was the Divine King realm expert that Lin Muyu saved on the longevity altar, Wang Xiang. Wang Xiang knelt on one knee and said, "I, Wang Xiang, am willing to join the Dragon League and listen to Alliance Master Lin's orders." Lin Muyu's kindness on the longevity altar was quickly repaid. Wang Xiang's reputation in the earth-bearing region had always been pretty good. As soon as he surrendered, dozens of God realm experts immediately landed and shouted, "Since Big Brother Wang Xiang has surrendered to Alliance Lord Lin, then we are also willing to follow Alliance Lord Lin." Lin Muyu smiled happily, "Welcome everyone." More and more people came. In the blink of an eye, everyone from the earth-bearing region had surrendered. If they didn't surrender, they would be killed. They didn't think that Gomang Zhulong, Changliang, and Dijiang would be merciful. As long as Lin Muyu gave the order, they might kill everyone from the earth-bearing region. "Now, it's time for you to make a contribution." Lin Muyu waved his arm and said, "Help the Dragon League achieve victory. Go." Their opponents immediately became the Fallen Star region and the Fiery Lion region. Everyone flew away, leaving behind a mess of battle in the wilderness and Shiyen, Fengzhan Lin, and the others who were quickly finishing off their battles. "Where's Sister Ziyao?" Lin Muyu asked. "She's at the forefront, blocking the people from the Fiery Lion region and the Imperishable region," Tang Xiaoxi said. Lin Muyu frowned. No wonder there weren't many people on the battlefield. Most of the forces from the four regions were intercepted by Ziyao. He immediately flew up and said, "Xiaoyin, Xiaoxi, come with me to help Sister Ziyao. 4 ancestral shamans, stay here and clean up the battlefield. Try to reduce the losses of the Dragon League." "Yes, leader." The 4 ancestral shamans disappeared in the blink of an eye to kill the enemy. "These 4 people." Qinyin blinked her eyes. Lin Muyu quickly hugged her and said with a smile, "We'll talk about it later. Let's go help Sister Ziyao first." "Eh." Tang Xiaoxi looked sullen at the side. Lin Muyu turned to her and kissed her on the cheek. "Let's go, Xiaoxi." Tang Xiaoxi's gloomy mood quickly changed. She was so easy to coax. When Lin Muyu, Qinyin, and Tang Xiaoxi arrived, they saw a dazzling light in the sky. Wisps of life elemental energy turned into invincible killing intent and wreaked havoc in the sky. Thousands of immortal state warriors took turns to attack, but they were all defeated by Ziyao. Almost none of them could last more than 3 rounds. Even the Fiery Lion region Lord Zhuang Fei couldn't take 3 moves from Ziyao. Boom! The green light pierced through Zhuang Fei's body like a sharp sword, and blood splattered everywhere. Ziyao walked in the air, and golden lotus flowers appeared under her feet. That was the purest life elemental energy. The lotus flowers bloomed, and the leaves were extremely green. Although it was just an illusion, it made people feel the most magical and great life elemental energy in the world. This life elemental energy became invincible in the hands of Ziyao, a powerhouse at the 99th heaven level. You're here?" Ziyao flipped her hand and thousands of lotus flowers burst. The petals turned into flowing lights and wreaked havoc in the crowd of enemies. The immortals fell like meteors and they were heavily injured. Indeed, after fighting for a long time, none of them could get close to Ziyao. "Sister Ziyao has always been well," Lin Muyu said with a smile. Ziyao giggled. "Not bad. Here, what should we do with this Zhuang Fei? There's also Long Yugong, but I killed him by mistake. Zhuang Fei is still breathing." Lin Muyu looked around and saw Zhuang Fei panting heavily with the help of a few experts from the Fiery Lion region. He was in a sorry state. "Alliance leader Lin, spare me, spare me." Zhuang Fei's body trembled. "My Fiery Lion region will never become enemies with the Dragon League again. I, Zhuang Fei, swear on my integrity." "How much is your integrity worth?" Lin Muyu raised her eyebrows. "Do you think I'd do something as stupid as letting a tiger back into the mountains? If you can be of use to me, then do so. If you don't, then I'll kill you. If I let you go now, I'm afraid you'll come back to bite me in the future." "Fuzhu, finish him off." "Yes, master." Fuzhu whizzed away. In the next moment, the dignified region master of the Fiery Lion region lost his personality and his soul. She was used to fighting and killing, so Lin Muyu was a little numb to it. She didn't care and led Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi to quickly subdue the people of the Fiery Lion region and the Imperishable region. This great victory would lay the foundation for the Dragon League to dominate the 64 regions, and Xiao wouldn't have come in vain. If Lin Muyu could unify the 64 regions, it would greatly increase the strength of the Eastern Heaven Realm. This was something that Xiao and the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor eagerly looked forward to. The battle continued until dawn. Among the 4 regions, the people of the Falling Star region had long since escaped, so they suffered very few losses. The Earth-bearing region surrendered completely, the Imperishable region surrendered 70 to 80%, and the Fiery Lion region surrendered half. The remaining half either died in battle or fled with heavy injuries. Compared to the other 3 regions, the Fiery Lion region was the more courageous one, but it was a pity that they still failed on the verge of success. Chapter 1060. As dusk approached, there were still godly state experts returning to Dragon City one after another. Many of them were injured to varying degrees. Feng Zhanlin personally received them at the gates of Domain Castle and arranged for their treatment. There was no celebratory feast in the side hall of Domain Castle, only a simple meal. Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, Tang Xiaoxi, Shiyan Xiao, the 4 witches and Fuzhu made up a table. This meal was a welcome dinner for Lin Muyu and the 4 witches. There were all kinds of dishes and spirit fruits on the table. Needless to say, the Dragon League was rich and powerful. The meal of the leader was 100 times better than that of an ordinary family. I didn't expect to see the legendary 4 witches. Xiao looked at Gomang and the others with a smile. You are all my seniors? Gomang and Zhulong were a little uneasy. Gomang coughed and said, we old guys are just wasting our time, unlike Miss Xiao who has cultivated to the great perfection 99 heavens at such a young age. It really makes us old guys who have lived for tens of thousands of years feel ashamed. Zhulong snorted and said, in the future I still need to seek Fairy Xiao's guidance. It seemed that Zhulong was not very convinced of Xiao's cultivation. After all, the immortal realm also had a preference for males. Since ancient times, there were countless people who had cultivated to the great Tao, and most of them were men. Xiao smiled faintly and said, all right, I also hope Senior Zhulong can give me some guidance. Lin Muyu glanced at Zhulong and said, even meat can't stop your mouth? Leader, what's wrong? Zhulong was confused. Lin Muyu said, Xiao's cultivation is far beyond your imagination. Zhulong, if you want to challenge Sister Xiao, you have to beat me first. If you can't even beat me, then don't mention Sister Xiao. Ahem, yes, leader. Zhulong was a little embarrassed. Indeed, he was no match for Lin Muyu. Qin Yin kicked Lin Muyu under the table and said with a hint of rebuke in her beautiful eyes, Zhulong is my senior brother, you don't be like this. Besides, can you really beat Senior Zhulong? Yes, Xiaoyin. Lin Muyu laughed. Qin Yin frowned slightly and pouted. If this was in the past, you definitely wouldn't be able to win. Senior Zhulong is at the 97th level of Grotto Heaven. The disparity between you and him is too great. But now, I can't say for sure. Let Senior Zhulong say it himself, Lin Muyu said with a smile. Zhulong said awkwardly, this? I sparred with the leader once in the Ancestral Wizard's illusory realm, and I indeed lost. The leader's cultivation in the state of mind is admirable. It far exceeds the level of cultivation that someone his age should have. Shi Yin squinted her eyes and smiled. I'm afraid the more important reason is the immortal golden body? Yes, it's the immortal golden body. Gomang nodded and said, Leader was ordered by Heaven's will to understand the legendary immortal golden body. This is also one of the reasons why we 4 ancestral wizards believe that he is the successor of Qiyu Stone. If he wasn't chosen by ancestral god Qiyu, how could he understand the secrets of heaven and obtain the immortal golden body? Tang Xiaoxi asked with a smile, Mu, is the immortal golden body really that powerful? Yes. Lin Muyu nodded. After entering the immortal golden body, that feeling? He was silent. Tang Xiaoxi asked anxiously, how does it feel? Lin Muyu smiled and said, that feeling is as if the blood in my body is boiling, and the deepest potential in my body is being stimulated. Be it my domain or my attacks, they all become extremely powerful. The power of each attack is also greatly increased. It's like the legendary ferocious and domineering people who are on drugs. Tang Xiaoxi was speechless. What do you mean by drug? I don't understand. Well, Lin Muyu patted her shoulder and said with a smile, after we complete our mission, I'll bring you back to our hometown, Earth. You'll understand in that domain. Okay. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi nodded happily. Gomang was a little shocked and said, Leader, the earth you mentioned, is it the legendary primeval land, the place where we, the 12 ancestors of sorcery and ancestor god Qiyu were born? Yes, that's right. I see. At this moment, Xiao squinted her beautiful eyes and smiled. Why don't you show us the Qiyu stone? I want to see how powerful this stone that can overturn rivers and seas is. Sister Xiao wants to see the Qiyu stone? Yes. All right. Lin Muyu took out a crystal-clear stone from her Chengkuan pouch and handed it to Xiao. For a moment, Gomang Zhulong, Changliang, and Dijiang all left their seats and knelt down. Seeing the Qiyu stone was like seeing the ancestor god Qiyu, their faces full of respect. Ancestor god, Lin Muyu was a little speechless. She raised her hand and said, "Get up, all of you. The spiritual thoughts of the ancestor god Qiyu and the Qiyu stone have dissipated on their own. It's completely under my control now, you don't have to be so respectful." Gomang was a little confused. After a few seconds he stood up with the others and returned to their seats. Lin Muyu minded her own business and picked food for Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi, all of which were meat. Beauties needed to eat more meat to develop and maintain their beauty. Vegetarianism was nonsense, eating more meat was the way to go. Xiao held the Qiyu stone and praised, her eyes were full of light. She smiled. "You is really a man of luck. He actually had such a fortuitous encounter in the ancient mystery realm, obtained the Qiyu stone, and subdued the 4 great ancestor sorcerers. If the demon emperor knew about this, he would be so happy. You and brother demon emperor went through so much trouble to bring us to the 64 domains, it's not right for us to go back without a gift. But Sister Xiao, if I really unify the ancient mystery realm and subdue millions of God-state experts, can I bring them back to the East Heaven realm? If they are willing to follow me to the Heaven realm and enjoy eternal life." Well, Xiao furrowed her brows and said, "It's possible. I can use the northern heavenly wheel to open a spatial rift and connect the eastern heaven realm to this place, but it will consume a lot of divine power. Just me alone is far from enough, and I will need to consume a lot of divine power. This divine power basically comes from divine sparks, light origin stones and other top-quality containers, so, to open a continuous passage to allow the gods of the ancient secret realm to go to the eastern heaven realm, this is a rather large project." "How long will it take?" Lin Muyu was excited. As long as it was feasible. Xiao thought about it. "I don't know how long it will take, but if you really plans to leave the ancient mystery realm with the gods, I must return to the god realm as soon as possible to prepare." "Yes, I will, this is my promise to everyone." Lin Muyu glanced at Mochi Lin and the others outside the side palace. She must take them away, otherwise they will die of old age in the ancient mystery realm. After all, there was no eternal life here. "Then it's a deal, I will return to the god realm in the afternoon to prepare for this." "All right, thank you, Sister Xiao. No need to be so polite, we are family." Xiao smiled. Shi Yin coughed. "How is it a family? Ayu and the demon emperor are brothers, but Xiao, you are not sister-in-law yet, so you are not considered a family. Speaking of which, Ayu and I are a family, and he wants to call me sister-in-law." Xiao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "But you hasn't married Xiaoyin yet, Xiaoyin is still a virgin." Qinin blushed. "Sister Xiao, how can you tell?" Xiao puffed out her chest and smiled. "There are many mysteries in life, things that little girls like you and Xiaoxi can't see through. Take your time to learn." Lin Muyu hurriedly helped Qinin out. "Gomang Zhulong, you said that the Qiyu stone can command the armies left by the Jiuli tribe. Where are they?" Gomang cupped his hands and said, "Master, after ancestor Qiyu died, we opened the gate of time and space, saving the remaining armies from being slaughtered and subdued by Xin Yuan. The army led by Xing Tian is in the God realm, hiding in the Immortal Mountain, which is under the jurisdiction of the Eastern Divine Realm. Gong Gong's waterkind army is hiding in the prehistorical plane, which is the earth, in the water deep underground. They have all been in hibernation for tens of thousands of years, waiting for the awakening of the Qiyu stone." "Oh, I see. Then we have to leave the prehistorical secret realm to find them." "Yes." Xiao opened her mouth. "Strange, I have been to the Immortal Mountain a few times, why didn't I see any armies? It's a barren land, with only a group of stone men guarding the mysterious ruins." Gomang laughed. "Miss Xiao, you may not know this, but the army led by Xing Tian turned into stone after Xing Tian died. Only the Qiyu stone can revive them. These stones don't have any aura, Miss Xiao, no matter how powerful you are, you won't be able to sense their existence." Turned into stone. Xiao was speechless. "No wonder you ancient gods are so strange, always doing curses and prophecies." Gomang cupped his fists. Sorry for my lack of manners, that's the specialty of witchcraft. Lin Muyu also said worriedly, Gong Gong's army is hiding in the water, but the technology on Earth is highly advanced. If we are discovered, won't we be wiped out? Don't worry, leader. Gomang smiled. We have already set up an illusory boundary before we came to the ancestral witchcraft fantasy realm. No matter how smart the descendants are, they won't be able to discover it. Xiao also smiled. You don't worry, in the face of absolute divine power, all technology is useless. Sister Xiao, why are you so confident? Xiao laughed. Half a year ago we conquered a star in the star field of the Western Heaven realm. The people there are very smart and their technology is also very advanced. However, they still fell within 3 days. The technology they relied on was only the mastery of electricity, magnetism and force fields, but a true consummate God Emperor realm expert can make a star lose all of its magnetic field with a flick of a finger. Electricity cannot be used and all weapons are just scrap metal. Lin Muyu nodded, thinking about it carefully. Xiao's words made sense. The source of all technology seemed to be the magnetic field. Without the magnetic field, there would be no power, and all advanced weapons would naturally be ineffective. Domain was greater than everything. This was also the strength of gods. Chapter 1061. In the afternoon, Ziyao left the primordial mystery realm with northern regent Qianluan. According to her agreement with Lin Muyu, she was going to be very busy. However, if she really succeeded, she would be able to increase the number of divine realm experts in the Eastern Divine Realm by several thousand. Especially super experts like the 4 great ancestral sorcerers. Once they went to the Divine Realm, they would be the absolute trump card of the Eastern Heaven Court. Moreover, Xiao was very pleased with Lin Muyu's growth. Lin Muyu was able to defeat the 4 grand sorcerers with a level 82 Grotto Heaven Realm cultivation base. Wouldn't he be invincible once he reached the level 99 Grotto Heaven Great Perfection Realm? Perhaps, even the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor, who also had the Supreme Godhead, would not be his match. After nightfall, those who should have returned had returned. Some of them even brought a captive or two. She brought Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi to the main hall to brew tea and wait for news. Footsteps could be heard. The 2 brothers, Feng Zhanlin and Feng Zhanhai, had arrived, followed by a few God Emperor experts. How is it? Lin Muyu asked. Feng Zhanlin cupped his fists and said, Most of them have returned. In this battle, we suffered heavy losses. Nearly 300 people were injured, 21 divine kings died, and 144 godly venerables died. Lin Muyu frowned. Give compensation to their wives and children. They will be raised by Dragon City. Their children will be taught martial arts by the Dragon League. Yes. How many people have we captured? Feng Zhanlin smiled. Almost all of the earth-bearing domain have surrendered. More than half of the eternal domain have surrendered. Nearly half of the fiery lion domain have been killed. The rest have surrendered. A total of 28 God Emperors, 312 divine kings, and 1,244 godly venerables have surrendered. All of them have been arranged to live in the southwest residential area of Dragon City. Lin Muyu frowned. The number of captives is more than what we originally had. What are your plans? Although they've pledged allegiance to Dragon City, it doesn't mean that they're loyal. Feng Zhanlin said, Therefore this subordinate has a request. Create 2 new domains in the Dragon League and divide all the people who have surrendered into these 2 domains. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi will be the domain lords respectively. They will slowly tame these people and make them loyal to the Dragon League. With these 2 ladies as the domain lords, it is enough to show how much Lin General values and relies on the people who have surrendered. What does Lin General think? Lin Muyu was stunned. She looked at the 2 beauties beside her and asked, Are you willing? Qin Yin smiled. Xiaoxi and I should share more of your burden. This is our duty. How can you ask us if we are willing or not? I'm afraid I'll have to trouble you then. It's okay. Lin Muyu nodded and said, Domain Lord Feng, go and divide the members of the 2 new domains. There will be a ceremony tomorrow and I will attend it. But what are the names of the 2 new domains? Feng Zhanlin smiled. That depends on the 2 ladies. Qin Yin smiled. The domain I'll be in charge of will be called Orchid Heart Domain. Orchid Heart Domain, huh? Lin Muyu chuckled. Qin Yin blushed. You can say that. What about Xiaoxi? Tang Xiaoxi thought about it and said, Then let's call it Tidal Domain. Okay, 1 Orchid Heart Domain and 1 Tidal Domain. Sounds good. Lin Muyu agreed readily. Are you going to choose the 2? No need. Let Domain Lord Feng make the arrangements. Feng Zhanlin cupped his fists and smiled. I promise you and your wives will be satisfied. I'll take care of it now. Tang Xiaoxi and Qin Yin blushed. Feng Zhanlin's words were getting more and more likable. The next day, Dragon City held the ceremony of Orchid Heart Domain and Tidal Domain. It was a very lively day. The entire hall of Dragon City was filled with people. There were more than 300 banquet tables. After all, there were nearly 4,000 godly state warriors in the Dragon League. It was the strongest in the 64 domains. Even the sky-devouring domain was inferior. The Dragon League's momentum had reached a peak. This was especially so after super experts like the 4 great Grand Wizards joined the alliance. The Dragon City's dominance over the world became even more obvious. When everyone was in high spirits, Feng Zhanlin turned around and flew above the square. He said, "Brothers, let's stop and listen to what the Alliance Master has to say. What do you think?" Everyone put down their wine glasses and looked at the stage respectfully. Lin Muyu stood up with a wine glass in her left hand and the hilt of the Shenyuan sword in her right hand. She walked up the stairs step by step and said, "My original intention in coming to the 64 domains was to cultivate myself. However, I soon realized that cultivation cannot be so peaceful. I must fight to live with dignity. To tell you the truth, I come from the Eastern Divinity Realm, and I am the Left Marshal of the Divinity Realm. I don't care what you have done before or what kind of person you are, but from today on, you must abide by the rules of the Dragon League. When I unify the 64 domains, I will take you away from the 64 domains and go to the Divinity Realm to enjoy eternal life." Many godly state warriors were stunned. They didn't believe what she said. Lin Muyu smiled and said, "I, Lin Muyu, never make empty promises. Everyone should know about Ziyao after yesterday's battle. She's my sister. Ziyao's Wheel of the North can open the passage between the 64 domains and the outside world. It also makes it possible for everyone to leave this place. Don't doubt it. Just do your best for the Dragon League. From now on we're a family. We'll go through thick and thin together. If you're willing, raise your glass and let's drink." Everyone raised their wine glasses and drained it in one gulp. Although the gods who lived in the 64 domains ate and slept well, and perhaps had dozens of beautiful servants and maids to serve them, none of these were as tempting as eternal life. Gods didn't want to die either. If they died of old age, how could they be called gods? In the afternoon, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi brought the god-state warriors of Orchid Heart region and Tide region to their respective territories. The domain castle of Dragon City was divided into 4 parts. Spirit Sparrow region, Sky Foothill region, Orchid Heart region and Tide region. Like this, the entire domain castle was already full. 4,000 god-state warriors. This was the maximum number that Dragon City could handle. After all, every god-state warrior had their own residents and servants. This was the treatment that they deserved. They couldn't be neglected. Otherwise there would be chaos. In the middle of the night, candles flickered in the side hall. Lin Muyu sat cross-legged and cultivated for a long time. Finally, the rustling sound of footsteps came from outside. Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi came back together. The 2 girls had a trace of fatigue on their faces. It was indeed too tiring for them to be in charge of a domain. "You're back?" Lin Muyu walked forward and opened her arms to embrace the 2 beauties. She asked, "How do you feel?" "It's complicated. Very complicated," Qin Yin said. "I'm so tired." Tang Xiaoxi's voice was full of tenderness. It seemed that she couldn't wait to fall asleep in Lin Muyu's arms. "Don't be in a hurry to sleep. Take a bath first. I can ask someone to boil water." "Okay. What about you?" Qin Yin glanced at Lin Muyu. "I'll make the bed." Lin Muyu smiled. Immediately, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi looked at each other and smiled. It seemed that they would sleep together tonight. While the 2 beauties were taking a bath, Lin Muyu was in the hall reviewing the cultivation list of the new members of the Dragon League. Not long after, Qin Yin came out wrapped in a bath towel. Lin Muyu just took a glance at her and couldn't move her eyes away. Over the years, Qin Yin had grown from a young girl to a beautiful woman. Her figure had also become more and more enchanting. The towel wrapped around her towel made people's hearts beat faster. Her well-proportioned snow-white long legs were especially full of tension. Lin Muyu couldn't sit still anymore. She put down the list and called, "Xiaoyin, come here." Qin Yin smiled. "Aren't you going to make the bed? What are you doing?" "Come here first." "Oh." Qin Yin seemed to have a premonition that something would happen. She floated over and said with a smile, "I'm coming." Lin Muyu took the opportunity to put her on his lap, hugged her gently and said, "It's great that you can be healthy." "Big brother you," Qin was slightly startled. She felt a burst of warmth in her heart. She knew that Lin Muyu was thinking of the time when she was in a coma. At that time he must have been very anxious. Qin also knew that her beauty was enough to make any man fall for her. However, Lin Muyu always made love to her and stopped with propriety. In fact, even if he did, she wouldn't blame him. Thinking of this, Qin lowered her head and fell into Lin Muyu's arms, hugging him tightly. His nose was full of the woman's delicate fragrance. How could Lin Muyu sit still? His heart was in a daze. His left hand was completely out of control. Suddenly it reached into the bath towel. It was smooth and smooth. When he held the full bosom, Lin Muyu felt that his heart was about to stop. Qin moaned, her face flushed, and her body instantly became hot. She hugged Lin Muyu tightly and whispered in his ear, Is it hard to bear? Lin Muyu gasped and replied in a low voice, It's okay. How do you know? Qin wanted to laugh, but she held back her laughter and whispered, If you want to do anything, Xiaoyin. Xiaoyin won't refuse. Lin Muyu's heart raced as if it was about to jump out of her throat. Just when they were about to take the next step of their plan, the door suddenly opened with a creak. Tang Xiaoxi stood outside the door and said, Did I come at the wrong time? Qin reflexively sat up from Lin Muyu's arms, her face flushed. No, nothing. Tang Xiaoxi chuckled. I didn't say anything. Xiaoyin has a guilty conscience. I didn't. Lin Muyu stood up and hugged Qin from behind. He whispered in her ear, When we return to the Shattered Cauldron realm, we can get married in front of Father's memorial tablet. Then we can do it openly. Qin Yin's face was red, and her voice was as soft as a mosquito's buzz. And? Tang Xiaoxi floated in. Humph, you're whispering again. Can't you tell me what you said? Lin Muyu said, I told Xiaoyin to prepare well. We will attack the Falling Star domain the day after tomorrow. Tang Xiaoxi. Chapter 1062. On the 29th day of the 5th month of the Empire calendar, thousands of miles to the east of the Shattered Cauldron realm, the three great empires stood on a huge territory. The balance of power between the Qinji Empire, the Celestial Empire, and the Blackstone Empire was slowly collapsing. The people in the central city of the Blackstone Empire, Mount Qianshan City, were in a state of panic. Over the past few days, dragon riders had been constantly descending upon the city, bringing bad news one after another. In the resplendent palace hall, Emperor Shi Yuan had a worried frown on his face. The faces of the ministers were also pale. The voice of a royal guard came from outside the door, Dragon Rider General Fu Yun requests an audience. Summon him. Shi Yuan said in a low voice. Amidst the heavy footsteps, Fu Yun, dressed in military attire, walked into the hall. There were even some bloodstains on his body. His expression was very grave as he knelt on one knee. Fu Yun greets your majesty. Get up, Fu Yun. You've finally returned. What news did you bring? Shi Yuan said with his eyes narrowed. Fu Yun said in a deep voice, I found out that Feng Jixing is already training the navy on the Daojiang River. The Qin Empire has forged at least hundreds of fortress ships, barges. The entire Daojiang River of the Cangnan province is filled with traces of the navy. I think Feng Jixing's intentions are already very clear. It won't be long before they invade the east with the entire nation's military strength. Invade the east. Shi Yuan's eyes were filled with coldness as he said, My Blackstone Empire will definitely not sit and wait for death. A mere Shattered Cauldron realm wants to destroy my Blackstone Empire? Dream on. At this moment, the young man sitting on the golden chair beside Shi Yuan stood up and said with an extremely pleasant voice, Your Majesty, you don't have to worry too much. I don't think that Feng Jixing's training of the navy means that they're going on an expedition to the east. After all, the Shattered Cauldron realm has been at war for many years and has long exhausted their savings. Feng Jixing's training of the navy is just to protect himself. The one who spoke was none other than Longxi of the Thunder Flame sect, a peerless expert with the immortal character of ice and fire and a 92-fold grotto heaven. Moreover, Longxi was talented and had entered the divine state a long time ago. He retained the appearance of a 26-year-old and looked very young. However, who would have thought that such a young man would have thousands of troops and more than 50,000 cultivators of the Thunder Flame sect under his command? Shi Yuan nodded. Sect Master Long is right, but the Empire's westward expedition is imminent. We have no choice but to fight. Longxi smiled faintly. It seems that your majesty has made up your mind. Yes. Shi Yuan smiled calmly and explained, Firstly, the northern border of the empire is no longer safe. The Bai Zhe mercenaries led by Si Kongyao and Liu Bai already have hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Coupled with the help of the demonic spirit race from the Forest of No Return, a few counties in the north have fallen one after another. The empire has no strength to tangle with Si Kongyao in the north. Secondly, the young emperor of the Celestial Empire, Qinyu, was defeated in the Battle of East Com City, losing more than 1 million troops. Now he has regrouped hundreds of thousands of troops and is constantly attacking the cities on the eastern border of the Blackstone Empire. The fortresses that we have spent hundreds of years building are falling one after another. We have no strength to contend against the Celestial Empire. As such, what other choice do we have apart from an expedition to the west? Longxi smiled and lowered his head to look at the person on the other side of Shi Yuan. He said, "His Majesty said that the Blackstone Empire now has a right-hand man. Why don't we ask the right-hand man when we are in such a predicament?" On the other side was a middle-aged man with restrained divine light. He was wearing armor, and there was even a piece of wolf skin on his shoulder armor. He looked extremely capable and experienced. He was none other than the Valley Master of the Wolf Valley, He Song, the clan leader of the two great reclusive tribes in the Celestial Pole continent. He Song cultivated the laws of wind and had long advanced to the great perfection Divine Emperor realm. The tribe under his command even had 100,000 troops. It was just that he stood aloof from worldly affairs. Otherwise, he would be able to set off huge waves in the Celestial Pole continent. Longxi said with a smile, "Valley Master He Song has 100,000 troops under his command. Why would he be afraid of Qinyu and Si Kongyao? Your Majesty must know that among the 10 sacred martial gods in the Wolf Valley alone, there are several tens of sacred martial kings and several hundred sacred martial venerables. As long as Valley Master He Song decides to send out his troops, I dare say that Qinyu will definitely stop the war and Si Kongyao will also carefully consider it." However, He Song did not say anything. Shi Yuan could not help but turn around and ask in a gentle voice, "Valley Master, what do you think?" He Song stroked his short beard and said with a smile, "I really don't deserve such high praise from Sect Master Long. However, I also don't agree with the plan to send troops to the Shattered Cauldron realm. The land of the Blackstone Empire is a treasure passed down from our ancestors. How can we hand it over to others? Your Majesty, if it's for the sake of defending the Blackstone Empire, Wolf Valley is willing to send troops. Otherwise, the disciples of Wolf Valley are really not willing to stain the yellow sands of other countries with their blood." Shi Yuan could not help but frown and said, "It seems that the two of you don't agree with the matter of going on an expedition." "Yes." He Song said, "If the Blackstone Empire gives in and leaves the Celestial Continent, it will only make the Tianji Empire and the Celestial Empire stronger and stronger. Even if your Majesty manages to take over the Shattered Cauldron realm, the Blackstone Empire will also suffer a great blow. At that time, the Tianji Empire and the Celestial Empire will join hands and go on an expedition to the west. What will we rely on to protect the Shattered Cauldron realm that we have just obtained?" Shi Yuan muttered, "Valley Master is right." He Song smiled. "If it's just to protect the Celestial Empire, Wolf Valley is willing to send troops. However, since Wolf Valley has decided to be loyal to your Majesty, I hope that your Majesty can give me some promises." "Oh? What promises?" "Confer a city to Wolf Valley so that my troops can have a place to stay. This city must be large, have a large population, and be sufficiently prosperous." Shi Yuan's eyes flickered, but he did not say anything. Longxi, who was at the side, smiled and said, "With the reward of a city, you can get 100,000 soldiers. Why not, your Majesty? Red Rock City in Red Rock Province can be used as a reward. Red Rock City is strong and prosperous, with a population of more than 1 million. Adding the dozens of counties in the surroundings, it has a total population of more than 1,000 people. I think it should be enough for Wolf Valley to station troops." Shi Yuan looked at He Song with a stern gaze and said, "Then, we will now confer Valley Master the Consul of Red Rock Province. You will be in charge of all the important military and political affairs in the province. I will send 3 generals to assist Valley Master in resisting the Celestial Empire and recovering the lost land. Many thanks for your Majesty's great kindness." He Song took a few steps back and knelt on one knee, his face full of joy. "Mend seal and ribbon." Shi Yuan personally handed the seal and axe to He Song and said, "Red Rock City is in imminent danger. I hope Valley Master can send reinforcements as soon as possible." "Yes, your subordinate will return to Wolf Valley and give the order to set out." As soon as he finished speaking, He Song had already shattered the void and disappeared from the Great Hall, leaving behind only a strong gust of wind. Shi Yuan glanced at the crowd of officials and said, "Disperse. Sect leader Long, please follow me to the rear hall for a chat." "Yes, Your Majesty." In the rear hall, 2 palace maids lit up an incense burner and respectfully waited on the side. Shi Yuan helplessly sat in front of a table filled with memorials to the throne and said, "Sect leader Long, what do you think of Song?" Although they were called his left and right arms, the person Shi Yuan truly valued was Longxi alone. After all, Longxi was the strongest expert of the Blackstone Empire, while Song was merely the leader of 2 great secluded tribes in the Outlands. They were just using each other. Longxi smiled faintly. "Song has a request for the Empire, and Your Majesty also needs Song's troops to resist the Celestial Empire's Qinyu. Therefore, this subject believes that Your Majesty conferring the title of Red Rock Province to Song is a dangerous move, but also a clever one. Is that so?" Shi Yuan said dejectedly, "We feel as if we are ceding the territory of our ancestors. To think that someone like Song, who wields such a powerful army, waits his tail and begs for pity, is truly a disgrace to the sovereign of an empire. A lack of forbearance in small matters will spoil great plans. Since ancient times, heroes have always sought victory on the precipice of life and death. Your Majesty is no different. All we need is Song's 100,000 elite troops from Wolf Valley to help us defeat Qinyu. Once we defeat Qinyu, Wolf Valley's troops will definitely suffer heavy losses. At that time, it will be as easy as turning over our hands for us to take back Song's military power and political power." "Sect leader Long, do you know why Song must go to Red Rock City?" Shi Yuan asked. Longxi was startled, but he did not speak. "Sect leader is unwilling to say?" Longxi shook his head. "It's not that I'm unwilling but that I don't want to say." "Why?" Longxi smiled. "It seems that Your Majesty really doesn't know much about Wolf Valley. The people of Wolf Valley have the nature of wolves, and the cultivation technique they cultivate is called the Blood Wolf art. It is abnormally tyrannical, and the only way to awaken the Blood Wolf art is through blood sacrifice." "Blood sacrifice?" Shi Yuan was slightly stunned. "Yes, blood sacrifice. Using the blood of living people as a guide, one can obtain a powerful bloodline awakening power. Wolf Valley has nearly 50,000 cultivators who have awakened the Blood Wolf art, and they have devoured the lives of 50,000 innocent people. This is also the reason why people have been disappearing at the borders of the Blackstone Empire for so many years. Didn't Your Majesty order us not to investigate this matter in order to avoid conflict with Wolf Valley?" Shi Yuan sighed. "So, Song wants Red Rock City because he covets the flesh and blood of the Empire's citizens?" "Yes, the purer the bloodline of the person used for the blood sacrifice, the stronger the power of the blood sacrifice. It is best to use virgin boys and girls, which is why Song wants Red Rock City." "Aren't we handing over the lives of our citizens to a bunch of demons?" Shi Yuan slammed his fist on the table, instantly shattering the memorial and splitting the table into 2. The veins on his face bulged and beads of sweat seeped out. His entire body trembled as he said, "From today onwards, I will be reviled by the people of the world, and my name will be infamous for 10,000 years. Your Majesty." Longxi's voice became heavier. "Those who want to achieve great things don't bother with trifles. Your Majesty, please do not hesitate. Once the Blackstone Empire's predicament is resolved, I will do my best to help Your Majesty eliminate Song and the others." "I will depend on sect leader." Shi Yuan nodded and did not say anything else. High up in the sky, far to the north, the pure land in the horizon started to snow heavily. This place was cold all year round, but the spiritual energy was dense and the life force was exuberant. Under the cover of the snow, a lush green forest covered the land. Even in the northern heaven realm, even if it was snowing non-stop, the flowers here would always bloom. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Amidst the sound of stepping on the snow, 2 people in white robes walked in a zigzag manner in the mountains. Their target was a sturdy city in the northern heaven realm's snowy region. It was a city that stood tall in the sky, connected to the earth by iron chains. The entire city seemed to be floating in the air. This was the center of the northern heaven realm, Black Rock City. When the 2 stopped at the foot of Black Rock City, heavenly soldiers and generals holding weapons appeared above them. They shouted loudly, "Who goes there?" Swoosh. A petite person walked forward and lifted her cloak, revealing a beautiful face. She said, "Western Divine Realm's blazing angel Eva seeks an audience with Northern Region's King of Gods, Dong Ming." Chapter 1063. Blazing Angel? What a joke. A northern region divine guard in fiery red armor couldn't help but burst into laughter. He laughed so hard that tears came out of his eyes. He pointed at Eva and said, "Little girl, you are indeed pretty, but why would a blazing angel come to the northern region? Aha, hurry up and leave. 2 wandering gods dare to come to Blackrock City to cheat? I think you must be tired of living." Eva was infuriated. However, the person behind him placed a hand on Yuan's fragrant shoulder and ordered her not to transform into a blazing angel. He said, "If you get angry at these small fries, it would be a disgrace to our Western divine realm. Let me handle it." "Yes, ruler." Eva nodded respectfully. When the cloak was taken off, Claude's chaotic face was devoid of any emotion. He spread his arms wide and his body rapidly expanded. The light he created was comparable to that of Blackrock City. The aura he exuded was enough to send chills down the spines of those who saw it. "Go tell God King Dongming that Claude from the Western Divine Realm wants to see him." "Yes." "Yes." The Northern Region Divine Guard was so scared that his face turned pale. He hurriedly said, "Someone open the door and let Ruler and Lord Blazing Angel in. Go and report to His Majesty that the ruler of the Western Divine Realm is here." "Humph." Eva snorted coldly and followed Claude into Blackrock City. In the city, the Northern Region Divine Guards formed a forest in the sky. Each of them had a bright sword and armor. At a glance, there were tens of thousands of God King and Hierarch-level experts. The strength of the Northern Heaven Realm was evident. Claude floated away without looking sideways. Eva carefully looked around. The intention of the Northern Heaven Realm was unclear. No one knew what would happen next. In the distance, a huge frost palace stood in the sky. Before entering the palace, a figure came out to welcome them. It was God King Dongming from the Northern Heaven Realm. "Aha, old friend, long time no see." Dongming affectionately opened his arms and hugged Claude. "Papa." "Papa." Rays of divine power blazed fiercely on Dongming's frost battle armor. However, who was Dongming? With his 99-level Grotto Heaven Frost over God Divine Core, he naturally wouldn't be afraid of light elemental attacks of this level. He laughed heartily and let go of Claude, who was like a donkey stump. He flicked the flames on his chest and said smilingly, "It's been so many years since we last met, but brother Claude, you're still as cold and aloof as ever." Claude smiled faintly. "The godly King Winter Mystic is still as passionate and unrestrained as ever." "Ha, come in, come in." Dongming said loudly, "Someone brew tea. Use the best tea to entertain our distinguished guests. Our Northern Heaven Realm has not had such a distinguished guest for many years. Come, come, let's sing and dance to liven things up." The tea was good and fragrant. The dancers were all goddesses. There was nothing to say about their figures and looks. It was said that the Northern Heaven Realm was rich in beauties, and this was definitely not a lie. "I didn't expect that the Northern Heaven Realm would still be so peaceful." Claude sipped his tea and said lightly, "Brother, what do you mean?" Dongming asked with a smile. Claude couldn't help but laugh. "The war between the East Heaven and the Western Divine Realm has been going on for so long. Haven't you heard of this news, brother Dongming? And I heard that the subordinate of the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor, Sun Feng, often leads his army to harass the territories of the Northern Heaven Realm. This news shouldn't be fake, right? Brother Dongming has always been proud of the Northern region. How could he endure such humiliation? Seems Brother Claude didn't come to the Northern Heaven Realm to drink tea and reminisce about the past." Dongming blew a breath of hot air and said with a smile, "The tea of our Northern Heaven Realm smells fresh and has a long aftertaste. Brother, if you don't enjoy it, it would be a wasted trip. You're really boring. You only know how to fight and kill all day, but you don't know how to enjoy it all." Claude couldn't bear it anymore. He suddenly slammed his palm on the table, causing the teapot to fly up. He said angrily, "Dongming. Look, you're even angry?" Dongming smiled. Suddenly, his gaze turned cold and he said, "Do you think I don't want to take revenge? My subordinates, Yang Li, Zhou Shi and the others, died without a burial place in the Shattered Cauldron world. But before I took action, I received a warning from Ziyao. Until now, I can't act rashly. Do you think I'm not ashamed?" Claude was stunned. Then, "Brother, just now, I'm just trying to see if the Western Divine Realm has any sincerity." Dongming waved his arm and said, "All the songs and dances are over. Men, call the 2 marshals over." Yes. Very quickly, 2 god generals with 98 heavens and golden armor walked in and sat at the side respectfully. Dong Ming stood up and said with a calm expression, "Let me introduce you. The one on the left is Dong Han, my younger brother. He's 98 Heavenly Paradise God Emperor and cultivates the law of frost. He's one of the 2 marshals of the Northern Heaven Realm and controls 80,000 heavenly soldiers. The one on the right is Yang Shang, one of the 2 marshals. He also controls 80,000 heavenly soldiers. Most of the power of the Northern Heaven Realm is in the hands of the 2 marshals." Dong Han and Yang Shang stood up at the same time and bowed. "Greetings, Master Claude." Claude nodded his head in greeting. His heart was filled with joy. He said, "So, the Northern Heaven Realm is also preparing to take action?" Dong Ming smiled slightly. "The military strength of the Eastern Heaven Realm is getting stronger and stronger. The 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor is arrogant and overbearing. He has long had the intention to annex the Northern Heaven Realm. We are all ancient gods. How can we bear such a shame of extinction? Even if we lose, the Northern Heaven Realm will definitely make the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor lose a few teeth." "No, we won't lose," Claude said in a deep voice. "As long as you and I join forces, as long as the 2 heavenly regions of the Northwest and Northwest form an alliance, why worry about not being able to destroy a mere East Heaven? The East Heaven has been fighting for years and has lost a lot of power. Now there are only 30,000 heavenly soldiers under Sun Feng and Qing Ping's command, plus the 20,000 left army of the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor. The East Heaven only has a total of 80,000 heavenly soldiers. Why would Brother Dong Ming's 160,000 heavenly soldiers be afraid of his 80,000? In addition to the 110,000 angel army of the Western Divine Realm, it's enough to destroy the East Heaven 10 times. Oh. Yang Shang couldn't help but laugh. So the Lord Ruler still has 110,000 angel army in his hands. If that's the case, how can your Western Divine Realm still be defeated by the East Heaven? Claude was speechless and his face was livid. Eva shouted in a low voice, "Presumptuous. Marshal Yang Shang probably doesn't know the methods of the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor, right? The 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor has the sovereign godhead and is tyrannical and overbearing. In addition, Xiao and Sun Feng are both 99 Heavenly Path God Emperors. I'm afraid that even the Northern Heaven Realm would be defeated." "What a joke," Yang Shang said coldly. "If that's the case, the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor wouldn't have attacked the Western Divine Realm first and not the Northern Heaven Realm." Claude frowned. If Marshal Yang Shang had seen the power of the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor and felt the aura of the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor, I'm afraid he wouldn't say that. Seeing that Claude and Eva were about to burn, Dong Ming raised her hand and said with a smile, "Yang Shang, shut up. This time we're discussing the alliance. There's no need to talk about unimportant things." "Yes, Your Majesty." "Brother Claude, there's no need to lower yourself to his level. Yang Shang has always been so arrogant and despotic. I hope you can forgive him." "It's fine." Claude's eyes were almost on fire. Dong Ming said, "Once you and I make an alliance, how will we destroy East Heaven together?" Claude pondered for a moment and said, "East Heaven has continuously seized control of nearly 2,000 planes in the Western Divine Realm. I plan to launch a war to recover them in 3 days. At that time, the Northern Heaven Realm will come out and attack East Heaven, leaving the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor unable to split himself. In this way, East Heaven will inevitably collapse, and that will be the day when Elder Brother's great success will come. Since it's a coordinated attack, why use the power of the entire country?" "What does Elder Brother mean?" "What I mean is very simple." Dong Ming raised the corner of her mouth and said, "I only need to send Yang Shang to lead 80,000 soldiers to attack East Heaven, and he will be able to pin down the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor. In addition, I can also send another army into the mortal world for a war of revenge." "War of revenge?" Claude was startled. "What do you mean?" "Yang Li is Yang Shang's younger brother. Yang Li died in the Shattered Cauldron Realm. How can we not avenge him?" Dong Ming smiled meaningfully. "Lin Muyu also has a sovereign personality. His roots are in the Shattered Cauldron Realm and he will definitely return. I plan to send a big gift to the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor by sending the absolute power of the Heavenly Army into the Shattered Cauldron Realm, ambush Lin Muyu, and kill him completely. Then they will bring Lin Muyu's head as a gift to the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor and Xiao. Do you think the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor can still maintain his calm and command the War of Gods?" Claude frowned. "The matters of the mortal world should be settled by the gods of the mortal world. I have already arranged for Dora, Zai, and other angels to stay in the Shattered Cauldron Realm. Once the Northern Heaven Realm intervenes, I'm afraid it will cause unnecessary disputes and destroy the alliance we have just concluded. I'm afraid Dora and Zai won't be able to complete their mission, right? Dong Ming waved her hand and said, "Why is Lord Ruler so indecisive? It's just a mere celestial pole continent. So what if you give it to our northern heaven realm? Besides, I just want to get rid of the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor's right-hand man. Once we unify that plane, we will return it to the western divine realm." Claude's mind was in a mess. Dong Ming's meaning couldn't be clearer. Exchanging the celestial pole continent for the northern heaven realm to send troops might be the only way out. Fine, since that's the case, I will entrust the war of the celestial pole continent to the northern heaven realm. Please rest assured, Lord Ruler. The northern heaven realm will definitely not let you down. Good. 10 minutes later, 2 figures flashed past like lightning in the tunnel of time travel. It was Claude and Eva who were on their way back. "Ruler, if you really want to give the celestial pole continent to the northern heaven realm, then that Dong Ming is an old fox," Eva said uneasily. "Other than that, there's no other way." A glint shot out of Claude's eyes and said, "Dong Ming doesn't really want to attack the East Heaven. Do you think I can't see it? If Dong Ming wants the celestial pole continent, then let him go and fight with Lin Muyu until his head bleeds." In addition, secretly arrange for people, all experts above the Radiant Angel level, to sneak attack the area connecting the Northern Heaven Realm and the Eastern Heaven Realm in 2 days. Kill their gods, seize their godhoods, and leave behind the seal of the East Heaven. Eva couldn't help but frown. "Lord, are you trying to provoke a conflict between the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and Dong Ming?" "That's right, this is the first step." Claude's eyes were full of murderous light and he said lightly, "The second step is for Dong Ming to kill Lin Muyu and Qin Yin, making the 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and Xiao lose their rationality in a real sense." Chapter 1064. Early in the morning, the spirit medicine department was tranquil and peaceful. Birds cried in unison as they flew about above the flower canopy, and there was a beautiful figure between the numerous stalks of fresh flowers. She was trimming some withered branches carefully as if she was deeply afraid of cutting off even a small part of a living branch. "Great Deacon." Lan Yan's voice came from behind. She bounced like a butterfly and said with a smile, "Good news, good news." "Oh, what good news?" Chu Yao turned around and said with a smile, "You and Xiaoyin are back." "That's not it. Commander Feng is back." "Oh, Big Brother Feng is back. How is this good news?" "Great Deacon, you may not know this, but a group of Iha Nation's traders came back with General Feng, including the former South King, Qin Yi, and his son, Qin Huan. There were also some generals and nobles of Iha Nation, such as Man Ning and the others. These Iha Nation's traders rested in Five Valley City for nearly half a month, and finally returned to the imperial capital under General Feng's supervision." Lan Yan blinked and said, "Here, this is the invitation for an impromptu court meeting in Zetian Hall in the afternoon. You are one of the 3 great deacons, so you naturally have to go." "Qin Yi is back?" Chu Yao frowned slightly and said, "I want to see how Commander Feng Jixing plans to deal with this group of traitors. During the chaos in Lanyan City, the people who really killed Chu Huayin were LV Zhao, Long Qianlin, and the others. Now that LV Zhao and Long Qianlin had passed away, only Qin Yi, the South King, was left. However, Chu Yao had been in the imperial capital for many years, and she was no longer the little woman who only knew hatred. Now that she had stepped into the god state, she knew what she should do and what she should not do. Lan Yin helped me prepare the equipment. After lunch you will follow me to Zetian Hall." "Yes, Great Deacon." The so-called uniforms were custom-made by the Ministry of Personnel for all the officials of the Empire. The uniforms were different for civil and military officials, men and women. The uniform of the chief attendant of the spiritual medicine department was also of a unique style, and it was custom-made by a famous tailor for Chu Yao. After all, Chu Yao's status in the capital was extraordinary. She was Lin Muyu's elder sister, and even the Empress Qin Yin had to address her as Big Sister. Furthermore, she was a god state expert, so everyone had to give her some face. In the afternoon, civil and military officials arrived at Zetian Palace in an endless stream. The grand court meeting had not been held for a long time. Ever since Feng Jixing left Lanyan City, Suyu had been the only one to hold a few large-scale meetings. There was a forest of guards outside the palace. After the reconstruction of the imperial guards, most of them were selected from the Holy Temple. There were many people who were well-versed in the Great Fire technique and the Martial God technique. The number of experts who were trained by Lin Muyu and Qin Yan numbered more than 400. The overall strength of the Imperial Guards had already surpassed the scale when Qin Jin was still alive. Chu Yao was dressed in a dignified chief attendant's robe. She entered the palace side by side with Qin Yin and looked up. The person sitting on the throne was Su Yu, Qin Yin's aunt. Su Yu was sitting there with a long sword in her hand. It was the recast Desolation sword, and it represented the highest authority in Lanyan City. Meanwhile, Feng Jixing stood at the side like a god of war. Su Yu represented the highest authority, and Feng Jixing represented the highest authority in the army. We pay our respects to Chief Attendant Chu Yao. When Chu Yao passed by, Wei Chou, Su Jiantao, Sidu Sen, Sidu Shui, and the other subordinates of Lin Muyu all bowed. They knew very well how important Chu Yao was in Lin Muyu's heart, and they could not afford to slight her in the slightest. Thank you for your hard work, everyone. Chu Yao nodded with a smile and continued walking forward. She was one of the 3 chief attendants, and her position in the imperial court was above that of deputy commanders like Wei Chou and Situ Sen, so her position was closer to the throne. And when Chu Yao passed by the 2 brothers, Qin Yi and Qin Lian, she could not help but take a second look, and then stood beside Qin Lian. You are the king of South Subduing, Qin Yi? Chu Yao asked. Qin Yi frowned and said, That's me, and you are? Chu Yao of the Spiritual Medicine Department. Oh, so it's Chief Attendant Chu Yao? Sorry for not recognizing you. Qin Yi cupped his fists and bowed. He had heard of this name before. In the past, the empire had a famous general called Chu Huayin, who had dealt a heavy blow to the army of Iha country, and this beautiful chief attendant was Chu Huayin's younger sister. Chu Yao smiled and said, The king of South Subduing has returned to Zetian Palace, and you have met your brother, chief attendant, so you must have endless things to talk about, right? Qin Yi was a little embarrassed and did not know how to answer. Qin Lian said, The past? Can't Chief Attendant Chu Yao let it go? Chu Yao laughed lightly. I'm just a little girl. So what if I let it go? So what if I don't? But I know that if Emperor Qin Jin was still standing under this plaque, he definitely wouldn't let go of this act of brothers killing each other. I also know that Feng Jixing, who is standing beside the throne, definitely wouldn't let go. I also know that if my brother was still alive, he also wouldn't let go. Some things shouldn't be forgiven in the first place. You are right, Chief Attendant. Qin Yi nodded and said, I know what I've done wrong and I have never thought of quibbling about it. No matter what punishment Zetian Palace gives me, I will gladly accept it. That's good. Chu Yao smiled faintly. But at this time, Qin Huan, who was behind Qin Yi, said angrily with an ashen face, Chu Yao, you're just a chief attendant of the Spiritual Medicine Department. What right do you have to mock and ridicule us here? I don't think you have the right to speak in Zetian Palace, do you? Chu Yao frowned slightly, but before she could say anything, Sidu Sen and Wei Chou walked over, and as if unsheathing their swords they shouted, Qin Huan, do you know who you're talking to? Do you want to die? When military generals entered Zetian Palace Hall, they had to remove their weapons, but Wei Chou and Situ Sen's weapons were still there, so they were pardoned. To be able to obtain this kind of exemption, which one of them was not a famous general who had made outstanding military achievements. No matter how ignorant Qin Huan was, he knew the status of these 2 people in the imperial military, so he clenched his teeth and said nothing. Chu Yao, on the other hand, chuckled and said, Deputy commanders, stand back. Don't mess up the rules of Zetian Palace. Yes, Chief Attendant. Wei Chou and Situ Sen stepped back, giving Chu Yao enough face. The rest of the officials saw this, but they remained silent. Even Qin Huan, who was the chief of the National Assembly, didn't say anything, so what right did the others have to make irresponsible remarks? Is everyone here? If so, let's start the discussion. Feng Jixing said. The official outside the palace said loudly, reporting to General Feng, everyone is here. Good, close the doors of the palace and start the discussion. Yes. The 2 lacquered golden doors closed with a rumble. However, there were many dazzling engraved gems at the bottom of Zetian Palace that refracted light, causing the palace to be as bright as day even after the doors were closed. Feng Jixing looked respectfully at Su Yu, who stood up with the solitary desolation sword in her arms. She said calmly, 12 years and 2 months ago today, the volunteer army began to attack the imperial capital, Lanyan City. That was a disaster for the empire, and the living will never forget the names carved on the national monument. They were the pillars and heroes of the empire. Chu Huai, Qin Lei, Lei Hong, Si Kong Fan, Yu Wenxie, Meng Fang, Luo Lai, Zhuge Yun, and so on. Their deaths were exchanged for the rebirth of Lanyan City, and the living will never forget them, nor will they forget their hatred. As she spoke, Su Yu looked at Qin Yi, Qin Huan, and the others with a gaze as sharp as a sword. She said, "Now, the remnants of the Iha nation have been driven into a corner and have been recovered by Commander Feng Jixing. The leader of the rebel army, Qin Yi, is also standing in this imperial court. Although 12 years have passed, do you think this debt should be settled?" Feng Jixing said, "As for how to deal with the Prince of Jinan and the old subordinates of the Iha nation, everyone can speak freely. No matter what you say, we will not pursue the matter after." For a whole minute the officials were silent. "What, no one is willing to speak?" Feng Jixing smiled. "Then I will speak first. I think the guilty officials should never be pardoned. Qin Yi and his people should be executed on the spot." Ah? Qin Yi and Qin Huan were stunned. No one thought that Feng Jixing would be so ruthless. They originally thought that he brought Qin Yi back to Lanyan City for a public trial, but they didn't think that he just wanted to change the location and kill Qin Yi. Among the officials, Zheng Yifan coughed and said, "General Feng, I have something to say." "Speak." "The Prince of Jinan, Qin Yi, murdered the late Emperor Qin Jin. This is a feud. I think that the person who can decide Qin Yi's life or death should be Her Highness, the Empress. How about, we wait for Her Highness to finish her seclusion and let her decide Qin Yi's life or death herself?" "Ah, Divine Marquis is indeed far-sighted. Let's do as you say." Feng Jixing waved his hand and said, "After the court meeting is over, escort Qin Yi, Qin Huan, Man Ning, and the rest of the Iha nation's survivors to the national monument. Set up temporary residences outside the monument and let them guard the tombs of the empire's fallen heroes until Her Highness Yin comes out of seclusion." "Where is Zhang Wei?" "I am here." Zhang Wei stepped forward. "Take 2,000 elite imperial guards to guard them. Take turns in the future. Do not neglect them." "Yes, I understand." Feng Jixing seemed to have said too much. He rested for a few seconds and said, "Let's move on to the next item. The Empire's navy urgently needs 500 million Jingrin coins to build improved steam-plated ships. Where are we going to get these 200 million Jingrin coins?" "Ministry of Revenue, tell me." The Ministry of Revenue minister held the jade tablet in his hand and said, "General Feng, the Ministry of Revenue has been allocating funds to open up wastelands for farming since the beginning of spring. These grains have not been collected yet, so the Ministry of Revenue's funds are very tight. We can only fork out about 200 million Jingrin coins." "Nonsense. I've checked the Ministry of Revenue's accounts. We have at least 800 million Jingrin coins. General Feng, you might not know this, but 600 million of these 800 million Jingrin coins were decided by the Congress. This matter should be explained to you by the general." Feng Jixing looked at Qin Lian. Qin Lian said, "After years of war, the current situation of more than a dozen provinces is the same. Population loss, land barren. Therefore, the Congress has decided to allocate 400 million Jingrin coins to build public offices in various states to provide housing for the displaced citizens of the empire. Another 200 million Jingrin coins to build schools in various places to educate homeless children. This is the empire's long-term strategy. Please approve, General Feng." Feng Jixing was stunned. In terms of military ability, Feng Jixing was second to none in Lanyan City. But in terms of government affairs, Feng Jixing was probably 10 times worse than Qin Lian. Su'er nodded and said in a low voice, "The general is right. We can't be militaristic." "I know." Feng Jixing took a deep breath, clenched his fists and said, "The academy needs to be set up and the warship needs to be built as well. Since the Congress and the Ministry of Revenue have spent all the resources of the empire, then I, Feng Jixing, will get the money myself." "Hey, don't mess around." Su'er frowned. Chapter 1065. 3 days later, on the east coast of Tongtian Gorge Silver Scale Port. This port had been built for 3 months and was supervised by Qianfeng himself. Its name came from the undulating waves on the surface of the sea during the day, which looked like countless silver fish scales. At noon, a row of war horses galloped out of the port. The two people in the lead were Qianfeng and Feng Jixing, who had been in Lanyan City 3 days ago. "General Feng, please have a look." Qianfeng pointed at the port and said proudly, "This silver-scale port is big enough for hundreds of warships to dock. Neither storms nor tsunamis can harm the ships in the port. Moreover, the sea route to the Tianji Empire has been opened, so there will be no obstacles along the way. However, I wonder what General Feng wants to transport to the Celestial Pole continent to trade with the enemy?" Feng Jixing smiled and said, "General, look at those merchant ships with red sides. They're all my ships. You can go and have a look at the goods yourself." Qian Feng led the crowd and galloped away. They dismounted and boarded the ship. The ship was filled with heavy boxes. When Qian Feng tore open the seal of one of the boxes, it was covered with straw. When the straw was separated, they could see the flickering golden light. They were gold ingots the size of fists. Oh my God, gold? Qian Feng was shocked. Yes. Feng Jixing nodded and said, you left these treasures before he went into seclusion. In the past few months, we have mined many rich gold mines and cast countless gold ingots. However, the resources in the empire are poor and we can't afford so many gold ingots. Instead of this, why don't we transport these gold ingots to the Qinji Empire and use our gold to buy their horses, ironware, demonic spirit stones, beautiful women, and so on? Qian Feng was at a loss. They even want to buy beautiful women. Didn't His Highness Yu issue a decree to prohibit the sale of human beings? Times have changed. What's more, we're buying women who are suffering in other countries. We'll just buy them and treat them well. Qian Feng glared at Feng Jixing, feeling that this person wasn't too reliable. He said, demonic spirit stones are forbidden to be bought and sold in the Celestial Greatness continent. Who are you planning to buy them from? Could it be that General Feng has already established a connection with the Chamber of Commerce in the Heavenly Pole continent? No, but I don't need to do anything at all. The buyer has already been found. How so? The cargo ship will sail directly to the Xishan province of the Tianji Empire and stop at the port of the Xishan province to trade. You can rest assured that the people of the Xishan province are all our people. Qian Feng's eyes lit up. He smiled and said, is it Si Kongyao, the commandery princess of Shiping? The marshal is a smart man. He figured it out immediately. Good heavens, Qian Feng took a deep breath and said, 500 merchant ships will arrive in half a month. Won't we be rich? Yes. Feng Jixing patted his shoulder and said with a smile, yes, you're rich. Do you still want to marry concubines? This silver scale port is your territory. You can get 7 or 8 concubines just by charging a small docking fee for the merchant ships. Go away. Am I that kind of person? Qian Feng refused angrily. In reality, ever since Feng Jing'er died, Qian Feng had been alone. He had never thought of having another woman. Sometimes he thought back to the past. No matter how bad Feng Jing'er's temper was, no matter how unruly and headstrong she was the only one. Thinking of this, Qian Feng glanced at Feng Jixing and found that he was looking at the boxes of gold ingots reluctantly. Qian Feng smiled. Feng Jixing looked carefree on the outside, but he was actually very meticulous. Feng Jixing had always been single and had never thought of marrying a concubine. No one knew who was hidden in the depths of his heart. He was like a mysterious man. Feng Jixing looked at the gold ingots and his heart couldn't bear to part with them. His face was full of reluctance. 1 gold ingot could be minted into at least 100 Jinlin coins, and in the fragrant boudoir in the imperial capital, Lanyan City, 100 gold coins could buy him half a month of wine and 2 girls every night. Thinking about it, it was such a pity. 2 days later in Shiping City, outside the city lord's residence, the sound of the guards training soared into the sky and the courtyard was filled with the singing of birds and the fragrance of flowers. Si Kongyao was dressed in a tight-fitting Tianji Empire's senior female officer uniform as she sat on a chair among the flowers. Her 2 long legs were propped up on the stone table as she took the letter from Lu Bai's hands and stretched lazily before opening the letter. Lu Bai took a look at Si Kongyao's chest and thighs and could not help but swallow his saliva. You are not allowed to look. Si Kongyao glared at him. Yes, I won't look, I won't look. Lu Bai was trembling with fear. Si Kongyao was the kind of woman that was prepared for him. A man who could have an unruly little woman like Si Kongyao must be a man like Lin Muyu who had both strength and power. It was probably because of this that Si Kongyao relied on and liked Lin Muyu so much. Si Kongyao glanced at the letter and immediately crumpled it into a ball. What did the people in Lanyan City say? Lu Bai asked. Si Kongyao stretched lazily again and said, the first batch of gold ingots will arrive in about 10 days. There are a total of 60 cargo ships and each ship is filled with gold ingots. Wow, then won't we be rich? Look at how promising you are, Si Kongyao raised the corner of her mouth and said with a smile, but we are indeed rich. Take out half of these gold ingots to purchase supplies and keep the other half as the inventory for Baizé's mercenaries. The Shattered Cauldron realm is indeed rich in resources. No wonder the 3 empires want to conquer the Shattered Cauldron realm so much. These ships of gold ingots will probably dazzle the eyes of the merchants in the Celestial Pole continent. Lu Bai said, then, should we build a few large refineries to produce more gold coins? No need. Wouldn't that take a longer time to convert the gold ingots into money? Si Kongyao stood up and said with a smile, tomorrow, summon the people from the various chambers of commerce and call the merchants from the Celestial Empire and the Blackstone Empire. I want to talk to them about using gold ingots for direct transactions and have them search for supplies from all over. Most of them are military supplies. I'm afraid they won't be easy to buy. Don't worry. How many of these merchants have clean hands? As long as you give them money, there's nothing they can't get. Si Kongyao puffed out her well-developed chest and said confidently, the three great empires are in constant war, and the governance of the various regions has long been unable to keep up with their wishes. Now, as long as you have money, you can get whatever resources you want. Don't you believe me? Our West Mountain Province and the Fire Element Province are pretty much the two great provinces with the best security in the entire celestial great continent. I believe you, I believe you. I'll believe anything you say. Lu Bai nodded helplessly. Then I'll go and do it now? Go bring a few more people. You, as the leader of Baize's mercenaries, have a high position and are very weak. If you don't bring a few more people, you'll be assassinated. None of those merchants are easy to deal with. Yao, you're about to step into the God Emperor realm. Why don't you protect me personally? You shameless fellow. What qualifications do you have for me to protect you personally? Go and choose from the guards of our God realm. Pick the ugliest ones to go with you. Why the ugliest? This suits you better. Si Kongyao chuckled softly. She lifted the cloak and draped it over her fragrant shoulders, then swayed her round buttocks as she walked into the main hall. Her newly developed and voluptuous body was especially enchanting under the uniform, causing Lu Bai to involuntarily swallow a mouthful of saliva. Motherf asterisk her, why is this annoying little seductress so devastatingly beautiful, yet I can't touch her? Although Lu Bai's strength and status were rising day by day, he still had self-awareness. Si Kongyao was the first person in the entire West Mountain Province that he could not touch. After all, the two people behind her were Si Kongming and Lin Muyu. Neither of them were existences that he could afford to offend. Chapter 1066. 6 days in the Shattered Cauldron Realm, 2 months in the 64 domains. It was almost noon and the scorching sun was scorching the earth. The 64 domains welcomed another scorching hot summer. The domain castle in the Starfall domain had a new owner. It had been occupied by the Dragon League more than a month ago. Zheng Xian led the defeated soldiers and fled without a trace. As a result, the Dragon League seized the domain castle in the Earth-bearing domain. Since then, the Dragon League had taken control of 6 domain castles. More than half of the 11 southern domains had been swallowed by the Dragon League, and the Dragon League had the momentum to unify the south. On the domain castle in the Starfall domain, a cool breeze was blowing, but it brought scorching heat waves. Lin Muyu stood on the edge of the city wall, watching the bare-chested servant army and some God-state warriors training outside the city. The Starfall domain had unknowingly become the strategic frontier of the Dragon League. Whether it was the revenge of the Fire Lion domain in the western region or the coveting of the Heaven-devouring domain in the middle region, they would start from here. It's so hot. Tang Xiaoxi was wearing a red short skirt, and her exquisite and curvy figure was extremely charming. She waved her fan and said, Mu, when will Murong Tianxing and the others arrive? We'll just wait like this. Well, do you want to go and greet them? Lin Muyu chuckled, turned to look at Tang Xiaoxi, and then looked at Qin Yin, who was quietly cultivating under the eaves of the city tower, and said, Xiaoxi, look at Xiao Yin, she can stand still, but you are the only one complaining about the heat. The corners of Tang Xiaoxi's mouth raised slightly. I cultivate the law of fire, so my body is originally very hot, not to mention the weather is too hot, like a big furnace, it's so hot. You can only cool down when you calm down. Learn from Xiao Yin. No, you'll teach me the Jade Snow Ice of the Star Technique, right? Come on, you can't even learn the first appearance of the Star Technique, let alone the Jade Snow Ice. At this time, Qin Yin, who had been standing still, slowly opened her starry eyes. Rays of light energy fluttered around her like snowflakes. She smiled and said, You two stop arguing. Xiaoxi, why don't we go to the Cave of Gods and Demons to cultivate in 2 days? It's cool there and we can avoid the heat. Okay, Mumu will come with us. I have to deal with the merger of the southern region's 11 southern regions. Okay, I'll wait for you. Good. Just at this moment, a surge of energy surged from outside, and shwa silhouettes appeared one after another outside the domain castle. It was the domain lords of the 5 southern regions. Murong Tianxing, Xinjun, Jiang Yuyang and the others were all present. Lin Muyu's figure flashed and she broke through the void, appearing outside the domain castle. She cupped her fists and smiled. It's been a long time, domain lords. Murong Tianxing looked deeply at Lin Muyu, and he could feel that Lin Muyu's aura was endless, and there were actually 87 divine waves. He couldn't help but exclaim in admiration and cupped his fists. It's been a long time. In just 2 months, Alliance leader Lin's cultivation has broken through to such a level. It's amazing and enviable. Lin Muyu smiled lightly. It's just luck, it's all luck. Domain lords, please enter the domain castle. We've already prepared a banquet. Once you arrive, we'll start the banquet immediately. Okay. Xinjun squinted his eyes and smiled. Alliance leader Lin, I heard that Fiery Lion Region's domain lord Zhuang Fei was killed by you. Lin Muyu was startled. I didn't. Where did domain lord Xin hear this from? Zhuang Fei tried to attack Dragon City, but he was killed by a friend of mine. Alliance leader Lin's friend is the one who destroyed Spirit Wind Region and Ancient Desolate Region by herself, Fairy Ziyao, right? Haha, what's the point of saying this? Let's enter the domain castle first. Okay. In the Starfall domain, the longevity altar had already been repaired, and the reception hall was located within the longevity altar. After Lin Muyu gave the order, the servants began to prepare the banquet. The sun slowly set and dusk arrived. The weather was still hot, and there were maids who were scantily dressed coming and going. However, most of them were cultivators, and most of them had already lost interest in the affairs of men and women in the mortal world. For people like Murong Tianxing, they couldn't even be bothered to look at those gorgeously dressed maids. Wine and meat were already prepared, and the moment they arrived, they immediately took out dishes from the ice cellar. The aroma of wine filled the air, and Fengzhan Lin, Fengzhan Hai, and the rest of the drunkards immediately became excited. Lin Muyu sat on the host's seat, while Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi sat on the right. Fengzhan Lin and Machi Lin sat on the left, followed by Gomang and Zhulong. As for Emperor Jiang and Chang Liang, they were too frightening, so they didn't attend. Moreover, they didn't like this kind of occasion, preferring a free and unfettered life. Come, domain lords, let's have a toast. Lin Muyu raised her cup. The present was different from the past, and Lin Muyu's status was completely different from 2 months ago. No one dared to be negligent, and they all raised their cups and drained it in one gulp. Silver River Region's domain lord, Jiang Yuyang, put down his cup and looked at Gomang and Zhulong with burning eyes. These two are? Oh, I forgot to introduce them. Lin Muyu said apologetically, this is Gomang and this is Zhulong, 2 of the 12 ancient shamans, and also my right-hand men. The 12 ancient shamans? Jiang Yuyang's body trembled and he said, are they the subordinates of Qi Yu who fought against the Yellow Emperor Shen Yuan? So the domain lord also knows us. Zhulong smiled lightly. Jiang Yuyang hurriedly bowed and said, so it's the 2 seniors. This junior has been impolite. Our Yin River domain is originally the descendants of the Yellow Emperor. Although war god Qi Yu was defeated, we are still ancestors, so the 2 of you are also seniors. Murong Tianxing squinted his eyes and smiled. How did the 2 of you get to know Alliance Lord Lin? Gomang said concisely, we didn't get to know each other, but Lin Muyu has already received the inheritance of the ancestral god. He is now the new master of the 4 great shamans, and the new leader of the Jiuli tribe. Murong Tianxing was shocked. At this time Xinjun smiled and said, the 2 of you have a long breath, and your strength is unfathomable. Can you let us juniors experience it? You want to experience it? Zhulong laughed and said, then I'll let you experience it. With that said, Zhulong suddenly bellowed. Beams of intense light burst out of his body, and at the next moment, the originally tranquil hall plunged into chaos. Pythons and demonic dragons danced in a frenzy as they pounced over. The ground trembled and the floor of the hall cracked in the blink of an eye. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky. A catastrophe was right in front of them. What? Xinjun and Jiang Yuyang stood up, as if they were facing a great enemy. Zhulong, enough is enough. Lin Muyu said softly. Yes, leader. Zhulong smiled and flipped his palm, which was originally flipped open, and lightly landed on the table. Immediately the illusion disappeared and Xinjun and Jiang Yuyang stood in the air with their weapons drawn and were on guard. Murong Tianxing and the others immediately laughed. Territory Lord Shen, Territory Lord Jiang, you are too nervous. Murong Tianxing said. That was? Jiang Yuyang was shocked. That was just an illusion. Zhulong smiled and said, but if Territory Lord likes it, I can make the illusion real. There is no need for that. I have already experienced it. Murong Tianxing cupped his fists and said, "Congratulations, Alliance Lord Lin, for obtaining the help of seniors like Gomang and Zhulong. Now, the Dragon League has the strength to fight against the heaven-devouring realm. I wonder what Alliance Lord Lin plans to do in the future? This is the reason I invited you all here." Lin Muyu looked at everyone with a burning gaze and said, "You all already know that I, Lin Muyu, am from the Eastern Divine Realm. I came here to cultivate, but now I have changed my original intention. I want to borrow the strength of everyone in the 64 domains to strengthen the Eastern Divine Realm, and bring everyone away from the 64 domains to the Eastern Divine Realm to enjoy eternal life, as well as the worship and offerings of the people." Very tempting. Murong Tianxing smiled indifferently. Xinjun said slowly, "But the price is that the 5 domains will have to submit to the Dragon League, right?" Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh and shook her index finger and said, "Not submit but join the Dragon League's alliance. Divided, weak, united. The 64 domains will be united soon, and everyone can choose to join the Dragon League or the Heaven-Devouring Realm. In any case, there will be a war between the Dragon League and the Heaven-Devouring Realm, and this war is unavoidable." Jiang Yuyang said, "Doesn't that mean we'll have to change sides?" Lin Muyu nodded and smiled. "That's right, join the Dragon League and no longer exist as a domain. The era of domains is about to end." Xinjun squinted and smiled and said, "So, what about joining the Dragon League? What about not joining?" Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, "It's simple. The Heaven-Devouring Realm is also forming alliances with other forces, and our Dragon League's plan is to annex the 17 domains in the Western region. Gomang, Candle Dragon, Dijiang, and Chang Liang will each lead a force to the Western region, and conquer the forces in the Western region one by one. But before that, I want to unify the Southern region. Your 5 domains are between the Dragon League and the Heaven-Devouring Realm. Even if you don't join the Dragon League, you will still be destroyed by the Heaven-Devouring Realm. So, I invite you to join the Dragon League." The region lords of the 5 regions put down their wine cups and looked at each other. This was indeed a Hongmen banquet. Murong Tianxing slowly stood up and said respectfully, "Leader Lin, will you treat us like brothers?" "Of course." "Good. The Skyline domain is willing to join the Dragon League and become a member of the Dragon League. Welcome." Lin Muyu turned to the attendant and said, "Record it down, there is another domain besides the 4 domains of the Dragon League, and its leader is Murong Tianxing." "Yes, leader." This, Xinjun, Jiang Yuyang and the others looked at each other. The Skyline domain was the strongest of the 5 domains. Who would have thought that Murong Tianxing would join the Dragon League so easily? After a while, Xinjun said in a low voice, "Leader Lin, if the 4 domains don't want to join the Dragon League, what will you do?" Lin Muyu smiled, "If I don't take it, the bandits will. Instead of letting the Heaven-Devouring region devour you all to strengthen themselves, why don't I do it myself?" If the 4 region lords are not willing to join the Dragon Alliance, then please return to prepare for battle and wait for the Dragon Alliance's army to sweep through. Chapter 1067. Xinjun and others were all silent. After a long time, Jiang Yuyang cupped his hands and said, "Yinjiang region is willing to join the Dragon League." Then Xinjun and others also expressed their willingness to join the Dragon League. Sure enough, there was no strategy more effective than blackmail in the world in the face of absolute strength. Lin Muyu nodded cheerfully, "Come on, record that the Dragon League will set up another Jili region outside the 5 regions. Gomang and Candle Dragon will be the rulers of the region. Half of the forces of Yinjiang region, Fongjin region, Fiery Qilin region and Leiqi region will be sent to Jili region, and the other half will be equally distributed to the other 5 regions." Xinjun's face instantly became gloomy. "Leader, why does the Qinxing region form its own force, but we are reorganized and divided?" "Because it's too late." Lin Muyu glanced at him coldly and said, "But it doesn't matter. As long as you serve the Dragon League and the Eastern Divine Realm well in the future, don't you worry about wealth?" Xinjun nodded, "Yes." Lin Muyu raised her wine cup and said, "I know that the 4 domain lords feel aggrieved, but Gomang and Torch Dragon are ancient gods with strength above the 95th grotto heaven. It's not an injustice to have them rule over the 4 domains. Perhaps, you can even learn some ancient mystic techniques from the 2 ancestral magi to raise your cultivation. Why not?" Jiang Yuyang nodded and said with a smile, "That's right. Leader, you see it clearly. We should also be more open-minded. If we haggle over every little thing, we will all become little women. We don't look like demigods at all. Everyone laughed, and the originally hostile atmosphere was instantly diluted. 3 days later, according to Lin Muyu's order, almost all the people from the 5 regions came to the Falling Star domain. As a result, the Dragon League's strength skyrocketed. There were 104 celestial emperors, more than 1,400 divine kings, more than 6,000 hierarch experts, and nearly 8,000 divine realm experts. The strength of the Dragon League was more than enough to look down on the 64 regions. It was a force that could play an important role in any divine domain. Lin Muyu's style was swift and decisive. That night, he ordered the 4 Grand Wizards to lead 4 teams to the west and take away half of their forces. Meanwhile, he, Tang Xiaoxi, Qin Yin, and the others guarded the Falling Star area, which was the territory of the Dragon League. Just like that, a vigorous war of conquest began in the territories of the 64 domains. The 4 great ancestral sorcerers were so powerful that they were almost invincible in the 64 domains. Even Situ Yun, the domain lord of the heaven-devouring territory, was only at the 97th level of the Grotto Heaven realm. His strength was not above that of Gomong or Torch Dragon. Therefore, when the Dragon League attacked the cities and territories, the heaven-devouring territory did not dare to do anything. Half a month later, the 4 great ancestral sorcerers destroyed the Fiery Lion territory, the Eternal territory, and the other 17 domains in the western region, which were on the verge of destruction. Most of the cultivators in those domains joined the Dragon League, which doubled the strength of the Dragon League. With the strength of the 17 domains added to the 6 domains of the Dragon League, the total number of God State warriors in the Dragon League was over 10,000, reaching nearly 16,000. While the Dragon League was sitting on the throne of the 64 domains, the heaven-devouring territory finally made a move. In August, in just 7 days, 12 domains in the north of the 64 domains, including Du Xing's Gale domain, announced that they would join the heaven-devouring territory. In the following 3 days, 13 of the 15 domains in the east announced that they would join the heaven-devouring territory. Only Nangong Lai's Mystic Heaven domain and Ling Songhan's Wind Spirit domain refused Situ Yun's invitation. The entire 64 domains had become a confrontation between the 2 camps. No one knew what the final result would be. Late at night, in the domain castle in the Falling Star domain, it was a bit chilly. Under the candlelight, Lin Muyu sat under the window and read the Octaterra map that Luo Tianji had given her in the Sacred Relic. This book mainly talked about the war between the gods in ancient times and some ancient anecdotes. Knock knock, Feng Zhanlin knocked on the door and said, "Leader, are you asleep?" "No." Lin Muyu put down the book, put on her coat and stood up. She looked behind her and saw Tang Xiaoxi and Qin Yin sleeping peacefully on the big bed. She didn't want to disturb them. She walked straight to the hall and opened the door. Feng Zhanlin was standing outside, dripping with dew. Even his eyelashes were covered with dew. "How long have you been standing under the tree?" Lin Muyu asked. Feng Zhanlin was a bit embarrassed. "Not long, about 4 to 6 hours. Lin Muyu smiled. "Sit down. You came to me because of the Mystic Heaven domain, right?" "Yes." Feng Zhanlin knelt on one knee and said, "Leader, Nangong Lai and I are like brothers. Now, only Nangong Lai and Ling Songhan haven't surrendered to the heaven-devouring realm. Situ Yun is an arrogant ancient god. Before the heaven-devouring realm attacks the Dragon League, they will definitely kill Nangong Lai. I can't bear to see Nangong Lai end up like that." Lin Muyu slowly sat down and took a sip of tea. "Leader, you want me to order the Dragon League to send reinforcements to the Mystic Heaven domain and fight against the heaven-devouring realm?" "Yes, there will be a battle sooner or later. We should take advantage of the fact that Nangong Lai is still alive." "What makes you think that the heaven-devouring realm won't ambush us?" "This." Feng Zhanlin's forehead was dripping with sweat. "I'm not sure if the heaven-devouring realm will plot against us, but I can't watch the Mystic Heaven domain be destroyed. Nangong Lai is a talent. We should fight for him." Lin Muyu looked at him indifferently. "What do you think the odds are for us to win the battle against the heaven-devouring realm?" Feng Zhanlin hesitated and said, "The Dragon League has more than 200 god emperors, 3,000 god kings and 10,000 hierarch experts. The heaven-devouring realm has more than 300 god emperors, 5,000 god kings and 20,000 hierarch experts. If we really fight, I'm afraid the odds are 50-50. You know it's not a sure win, so don't take the risk. Leader, do you know what I sent the Candle Dragon clan to do?" "This?" Feng Zhanlin frowned and said, "I know a little. The Candle Dragon clan ancestor has led more than 2,000 God Realm experts to the western region. but I don't know the intention of the Alliance Master. His intention is simple. Situ Yun has almost unified the middle, northern, and eastern regions, but not all of the people from the 34 regions are in the Heaven-Devouring region. So, if Situ Yun wants to gather his forces to fight the Dragon League, the northern region will definitely be empty. At that time, Torch Dragon will naturally sweep through all the domain castles in the northern region and make the 12 northern regions homeless. Feng Zhanlin hesitated and said, "Leader, are you planning to use the Candle Dragon clan to contain the Heaven-Devouring realm and slowly exhaust them?" "Yes, I need time." "What time?" "When Shi Yan awakens the Wings of Seraph." "What do you mean?" "Shi Yan's Wings of Seraph will only be truly awakened after she reaches the 80th heaven, which means that her strength will recover to about 60% of her peak. Currently, Shi Yan is cultivating in the Cave of Gods and Demons. She'll need about 3 months to break through to the 80th heaven. I won't fight the Heaven-Devouring realm during this time. I can only rely on the Candle Dragon clan to hold them back." "I see." Feng Zhanlin clenched his fists and said, "So we're not doing anything before that?" "Of course not. Get ready. We'll set off at dawn to save Nangong Lai and the Mystic Heaven realm. Just the two of us." "That's enough." Lin Muyu smiled meaningfully. "It'll be inconvenient if more people go." Feng Zhanlin, when the sun rose in the east, 2 figures flew out of the falling star domain. A spatial rift appeared in the sky, and in the blink of an eye, they were already dozens of kilometers away. The falling star domain and the Mystic Heaven realm were more than 500 kilometers apart, but if Lin Muyu and Feng Zhanlin flew at full speed, they would arrive in an hour. "Domain Master, how confident are you? You'd better tell me. Otherwise, I'll always be uneasy," Feng Zhanlin said in a low voice. Lin Muyu smiled faintly and suddenly took out a dagger with golden runes from her Qingquan bag. "Do you know this?" she asked. "Fushi's Heavenly Book?" Feng Zhanlin turned pale with fright. "That's right. It's a high-quality divine book. It can teleport everyone within 100 meters, and the distance can be up to 100 kilometers. Therefore, even if the realm of Mystic Heaven is surrounded by people from the realm of Heaven-Devouring, we can still escape with our people. The only thing we need to do is inform Nangong Lai to get ready and gather everyone." "Yes, I understand." Feng Zhanlin was overjoyed. After thinking for a few times, he said, "Faction Master, it's done." Before long, Lin Muyu looked ahead with a frown and said, "Suppress your aura and fly close to the branches. We've run into an ambush." "An ambush?" "Yes, it's people from the realm of Heaven-Devouring." "Yes." Feng Zhanlin looked into the distance. Indeed, there was a faint killing intent in the forest, and he could vaguely sense wisps of divine power. Most of them were God Kings. As he had expected, the people from the realm of Heaven-Devouring had surrounded the realm of Mystic Heaven to lure the people from the Dragon League into their trap. Unfortunately, only 2 people from the Dragon League had come, and they left very quickly. In the distance, a silver fortress appeared in the rising sun. They had arrived at the realm of Mystic Heaven. A few kilometers away from the realm of Mystic Heaven, people from the realm of Heaven-Devouring could be seen everywhere. There were thousands of them, and all of them were God realm experts. Lin Muyu said in a low voice, "Go into the fortress as fast as you can. Don't wait for Nangong Lai to open the door. Follow me." "Yes." Some people on the ground had already discovered their tracks. Someone even shouted, "Someone is coming. Kill them." But it was too late. Lin Muyu drew the Xianyuan sword, which shone with a dazzling golden light. She shouted, "All living beings in the world, listen to my command." Boom. The heavy and ferocious earth energy charged forward, causing the dozens of godly state experts in front of her to scatter. None of them could withstand Lin Muyu's attack. Bang. The Xianyuan sword pierced through the wall of the fortress, destroying the barrier and opening up a path. The 2 of them rushed into the fortress one after another, and went straight to the center of the fortress. There, Nangong Lai had gathered more than 1,000 followers. Looking at the 2 people in the distance, he smiled and said, "Finally they have come. But they have also destroyed my fortress, damn it." Chapter 1068. A beam of golden light rose from the domain castle and shot into the sky. The power of heaven and earth rotated and began to distort the space. Lin Muyu held the heavenly tome embryo in her hand and shouted, "Everyone stand in the heavenly tome matrix." Those who were not covered by the energy of the heavenly book flew into the sky and bathed in the holy light. They were all shocked. There were people in the 64 domains who had seen the heavenly book, but not such a high-level one. Leader Lin, how far can we go? Nangong Lai asked anxiously. 200 miles, Lin Muyu said. That's enough. Let's go. Okay. Lin Muyu flicked her wrist and fully activated her energy. Immediately, endless divine power poured out and dragged everyone into a different space. In the blink of an eye, beams of golden light rose up and disappeared from the realm castle. Over 1,000 divine realm experts from the realm of mystic heaven had already fled 200 kilometers away. Even the experts from the realm of heaven devouring might not be able to catch up with them. Outside the city, the flag of the heaven devouring territory fluttered in the wind. Standing under the flag was a man with a frown. What's going on? The aura in the castle is fading rapidly. What are they doing? Zhao Qian was shocked. The god emperors were confused. We don't know, Zhao Qian said angrily. Send people into the castle immediately. It's a trap. Yes. Without waiting for the people from the heaven-devouring domain to enter, Zhao Qian had already turned into a stream of light and rushed into the domain castle. Under the strong wind, his sturdy figure stopped in the sky above the domain castle. Looking at the empty domain castle and the remains of the teleportation array left on the ground, Zhao Qian felt the blood rush to his head and he almost fainted. Deputy Domain Master. Two god emperors quickly helped Zhao Qian and asked with concern, Deputy Domain Master, are you okay? Despicable, this is too despicable. Zhao Qian was so angry that his whole body was trembling. He said, they have all moved using the heavenly book, a heavenly book of an unfathomably high grade. Just now, I sensed an extremely mighty divine power, it's not any weaker than mine or the governor's. Must be Lin Muyu. Lin Muyu, that despicable fellow, took Nangong Lai and the others away. Then what do we do now? If I immediately report this to the region lord, I'm afraid I won't be able to escape punishment. Then what do you want? Why don't we gather our subordinates and attack the Starfall region directly, catching Lin Muyu off guard? Currently, the Deputy Region Master can mobilize the forces of the 4 regions of Middle Sky and 6 regions of the Eastern region. There are more than 10,000 Immortal Realm Masters, which is enough to destroy the Dragon League forces in the Starfall region. Really? Zhao Qian narrowed his eyes and smiled. That's because you don't understand Lin Muyu, and you don't understand Lin Muyu's power either. Do you think that a mere 10,000 people can make Lin Muyu fall short of success? Childish. Don't act rashly. Order everyone to follow me to the realm of Wind Spirit. Lin Muyu can save those from the realm of Mystic Heaven, but she won't have time to save those from the realm of Wind Spirit. We'll let that stubborn idiot Ling Songhan know the consequences of going against the realm of Heaven devouring. Vice Domain Chief wants to attack the realm of Wind Spirit? Why not? Yes, I understand. Activate the greedy wolf cannons. I'm going to flatten the realm castles of the realm of Wind Spirit, so that they have nowhere to hide. Yes, Domain Chief. 200 miles away, golden beams of light kept falling from a mountain forest. Each beam of light was an Immortal Realm Master. In the blink of an eye, over 1,000 Immortal Realm Masters from the realm of Mystic Heaven had all been moved to this safe area. Lin Muyu was the last to arrive. The glow of the spiritual artifact embryo in her hand gradually dimmed. She asked, You didn't leave anyone behind, did you? No. Nangong Lai turned around, dropped to one knee and said, The realm of Mystic Heaven thanks Lord Lin for saving our lives. As soon as the Realm Master knelt, all the members of the realm of Mystic Heaven followed suit and said loudly, The realm of Mystic Heaven thanks Lord Lin for saving our lives. Lin Muyu smiled and said, Don't kneel. Get up. We're on the same side now. I'm sure you won't refuse to join the Dragon League, will you? Nangong Lai laughed. That's if the Dragon League has an endless supply of wine. Of course it does. Good. Nangong Lai of the realm of Mystic Heaven pays his respects, Lord Lin. Lin Muyu slowly put away the spiritual artifact embryo and said, All right, let's go to the realm of Falling Star. We'll be safe there in case the realm of Heaven devouring chases us. No. Nangong Lai frowned. What's wrong? Lin Muyu asked in surprise. Nangong Lai took a deep breath and said with determination in his eyes, Lord, before you came, I made an agreement with Ling Songhan, the master of the realm of Wind Spirit, to fight against the realm of Heaven devouring together. Now the realm of Mystic Heaven is out of danger, but the realm of Wind Spirit is still in trouble. Ling Songhan and I have been friends for many years. How can I, Nangong Lai, abandon a friend? Feng Zhanlin said, Lord, as Nangong said, the realm of Heaven devouring will definitely target the realm of Wind Spirit because they didn't attack the realm of Mystic Heaven. This means that the realm of Wind Spirit will take the blame for the Dragon League. Once this gets out, the reputation of the Dragon League will be greatly damaged. How many people from the realm of Heaven Devouring are there outside the realm of Wind Spirit? Lin Wuyu asked lightly. They're only guarding the realm of Wind Spirit, and they've only sent over 1,000 God Realm experts. Together with the 2,000 under Zhao Qian's command, there are over 3,000 God Realm experts in total. Over 3,000? Lin Wuyu remained calm and smiled like a general. It seems that the gap in strength is not that big. The realm of Wind Spirit has over 1,000 God Realm experts, and we have nearly 3,000 here. We're evenly matched with them. As long as we can kill Zhao Qian and end the battle quickly, even Situ Yun won't be able to help us in time. That's right, Nangong Lai nodded cheerfully and said, the realm of Mystic Heaven is willing to fight to the death for our ally. Lin Wuyu frowned and said, but even if we win, we'll suffer great losses. It doesn't matter. We're willing to pay the price. Nangong Lai said proudly, the realm of Heaven Devouring has always been arrogant in Middle Heaven, and they've never taken small realms like the realm of Mystic Heaven and the realm of Wind Spirit seriously. They've always wanted to destroy us, and now they've finally shown their ferocious side. If it weren't for the Dragon League, I'm afraid the 64 realms would have been unified by the realm of Heaven Devouring. Lin Wuyu pondered for a long time. At this moment, two powerful auras suddenly appeared in the detection range of the spiritual pulse spell. Immediately, Lin Wuyu smiled and said, then prepare to go to the realm of Wind Spirit as soon as possible. Feng Zhanlin was stunned. Why did you decide so quickly, Lord? Because our chances of winning have increased by 20%. As expected, light flashed twice in the sky and two beautiful figures appeared in the sky. They were Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi. The two girls had already put on their martial attire. Qin Yin was wearing the glass phoenix armor, a third-class divine artifact from the Holy Remains. It was a delicate armor with knee pads and wrist guards, covering nearly 1/3 of Qin Yin's beautiful body. The rest of her body was exposed. Her snow-white skin and healthy and graceful curves were undoubtedly highlighted, and she was breathtakingly beautiful. Tang Xiaoxi's armor was a set of Nuwa's flame armor, also a set of 3 divine artifacts. It was said that Nuwa had used the multicolored stone to protect her body, and it was used to resist strong flames. No one knew whether it was true or not, but the requirements to wear this flame armor were very high. The outline of the chest armor was undulating, and it was imaginable that Goddess Nuwa's figure must have been very good. Fortunately, Tang Xiaoxi's figure was also very good, and it was enough for her to wear this armor. Nangong Lai couldn't help but take a second look and exclaimed, there are so many beautiful women in the Dragon League. Lin Wuyu smiled and said, Xiaoyin Xiaoxi, didn't I ask you to guard the falling star field? Qin Yin pouted and said, you left without saying a word. Xiaoxi and I were worried about you, so we followed you. Don't worry about the falling star field. There are thousands of people at the divine realm guarding there, and no one will be stupid enough to attack the falling star field. Tang Xiaoxi smiled sweetly and said, why? Don't you welcome us to help, Mu? No, you're welcome. Now we just need your strength. Lin Wuyu said this from the bottom of her heart. After all, the strength of the heaven-devouring realm could not be underestimated. With the two main deities, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi, they naturally had a higher chance of winning. After a brief arrangement of the deployment, they immediately flew in the direction of the Wind Spirit Field, which was less than 100 miles away from the Wind Spirit Field. They would arrive soon, and the people of the heaven-devouring realm would also arrive at about the same time. They had to arrive before the heaven-devouring realm broke through the Wind Spirit Field, or they would be controlled by others. In the Wind Spirit Field, a silver fortress stood on a plain. This fortress had existed for thousands of years, and had nurtured generations of divine realm masters. However, today the Wind Spirit Field was facing a mortal enemy. In the sky above the fortress, a young expert looked outside the city with sharp eyes. It was the Lord of the Heaven-Devouring Realm, Ling Songhan. The people of the Heaven-Devouring Realm are here, Lord, the Deputy Lord who was watching from afar said loudly. I know. Ling Songhan landed quickly, looked into the distance and said, they seem to have brought heavy artillery. Is it the Greedy Wolf cannons? Yes, a total of 6 cannons. The Deputy Lord's eyes were full of deep worry. Lord, what should we do now? Ling Songhan smiled coldly and said, what can we do? We'll deal with it when it comes. It's not the first time we've come out to fight. Once the reinforcements arrive, immediately open the city gate and swarm in. The people that Zhao Qian brought with him are not united, but a mixed army from several domains. As long as we stake everything in one throw, they will definitely lose. Yes, Lord. Just as Ling Songhan said, the heaven-devouring realm was not willing to use their own divine realm masters to annihilate the mystic heaven field and the wind spirit field. The people they sent were just a motley crew. In the distance, Zhao Qian stood still, raised his arm and said, "There's no need to wait. Greedy wolf cannons, blow up the wind spirit field." Yes, Lord. The heavy cannons that were filled with ammunition from God unleashed their might. Tongues of flame shot into the sky, and in the blink of an eye, a few bombs exploded on the walls of the castle, causing the enchantment to buzz. The enchantment began to crack, and what was even worse was that after the bombs exploded, magma flowed out like blood, continuously melting the defensive gemstones of the castle. The greedy wolf cannons were originally a kind of siege weapon that only the people of the heaven-devouring realm had developed. This time they finally used it. Chapter 1069. Hiss, hiss. The sound of the city wall melting seemed to burn the hearts of every member of the wind spirit region. This fortress was their ancestral home, but now it was disappearing under the power of the greedy wolf cannons. "Zhao Qian, you'll die a horrible death." Ling Songhan roared at the enemies in the distance. Zhao Qian laughed. "Winner takes all. Lord Ling Songhan, it's not too late for you to surrender to the heaven-devouring realm. What do you say? Make your decision." Ling Songhan's eyes were burning. "Zhao Qian must die. The heaven-devouring realm must die. Bastard!" Zhao Qian roared. "Keep bombing. I'm going to turn the wind spirit region into a scorched land. I'm going to turn all the women in the wind spirit region into slaves. I'm going to turn all the children in the wind spirit region into sinful slaves. Kill them." The bombardment continued, and in the blink of an eye, the entire wall of the domain fortress in the realm of wind spirit was almost melted into a pile of debris. But at this moment, a strong aura appeared in the domain fortress. Reinforcements had finally arrived. Swoosh. Moving like a meteor, Lin Muyu rushed into the crowd of the heaven-devouring realm like a bolt of lightning with the Shenyuan sword in her hand. Sword light flashed continuously, and two greedy wolf cannons were instantly turned into scrap iron. Behind her, Feng Zhanlin, Nangong Lai, and the others roared and attacked. More and more people came and fierce storms surged outside the city. In the other two directions, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi each led hundreds of God State experts to launch a fierce attack, forming a triangular attack on the people under Zhao Qian's command. As long as the people of the wind spirit region in the city attacked together, they would be able to surround them. "Don't show mercy. Kill." Lin Muyu ordered loudly. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 gods had died under the Shenyuan sword. Godheads rolled on the ground, glowing with a translucent luster. However, who would have the time to care about these godheads in the midst of a great battle? On the ground, flames and storms surged up into the sky. The gods all showed their powers and fought with their opponents. "Those bastards from the Dragon League." Zhao Qian's face turned red. "Fight back. The Dragon League is nothing in our territory. Fight back." As he spoke, Zhao Qian turned the saber in his hand and took the initiative to look for Lin Muyu, who was not far away. Good timing. Lin Muyu applauded loudly. The current Lin Muyu was no longer the Lin Muyu from the treasure-seizing assembly. Her strength had increased by more than 10 to 20%, while Zhao Qian's strength had almost stagnated. The disparity in strength between the two of them had turned into a draw. Clang. The two swords collided, and the chaos of the lives forced Zhao Qian to retreat several meters. Perhaps it was not that they were evenly matched, but that Lin Muyu was slightly superior. How is this possible? Zhao Qian was shocked. He was a 93rd Grotto Heaven Great Perfection Celestial the Arch, while Lin Muyu did not seem to have stepped into the Great Perfection Celestial the Arch realm. How did he manage to push him away and gain the upper hand in terms of strength and aura? But that was the reality. Lin Muyu smiled faintly, and a layer of gold slowly appeared on his body. He had already entered the state of immortal golden body. This could only mean one thing: he wanted to end the battle quickly. Under the state of immortal golden body, Lin Muyu could fight evenly with Zhulong, who was at the 97th Grotto Heaven realm, or even better. Zhao Qian, who was in front of him, was far inferior to Zhulong in terms of cultivation and state of mind. Naturally, he was not a match for Lin Muyu. Flames surged around the long sword, and streaks of stardust spread out. Lin Muyu switched from defense to offense with a sword. 5 mountains from heaven. Clang. This sword almost knocked away Zhao Qian's weapon. It was wide open and full of openings. Zhao Qian was shocked. and he hurriedly gathered his chaotic divine power to form a shield in front of his chest to protect himself. But he did not expect Lin Muyu to step on the void, and suddenly appeared behind him at an incredible speed. Shen Yuan's sword was raised and he attacked again for Luminary's demon god cry. He was completely at a disadvantage in terms of speed. However, Zhao Qian was, after all, a god who had been through hundreds of battles. With a furious roar, wisps of golden quicksand light flowed around his body. This was the power of samsara. He wanted to extend time to gain more space to dodge. However, at the moment when Zhao Qian used the revolving samsara wheel, Lin Muyu's blade was also covered in quicksand. Time sped up. Ah! Zhao Qian exclaimed and hurriedly used his sword to block. He hurriedly blocked the attack and could only gather less than 50% of his divine power. On the other hand, Lin Muyu's attack contained all of her supreme divine power. It was obvious who had the upper hand, and the weapon became the scapegoat. The Shenyuan sword, which had struck with all its might, directly shattered Zhao Qian's sword. Pieces of the blade shot out in all directions like bullets. Wah! Zhao Qian groaned. The god wall on his shoulder had already been smashed by Lin Muyu. The difference in strength between the two was too great, and Zhao Qian was actually defeated within 3 moves. Quick, save the deputy region master. A group of people attacked, but unexpectedly, Nangong Lai suddenly appeared on the right side of Lin Muyu. He swept his long sword and roared, "All of you retreat. Who dares to come forward?" The sword light swept past, and the godly state experts were forced into a difficult situation. 2 of them were even killed. Nangong Lai's reputation as the #1 person in the east of the 64 domains was not just for show. His strength was even stronger than Fengzhan Lin, Machi Lin, and the others. In the entire Dragon League, Nangong Lai's strength was probably second only to the 4 grand sorcerers. Still want to leave? Lin Muyu's faint laughter reverberated in the air. Stardust flickered in her hand, and the stardust turned into chains. Strands of silk ribbons bound Zhao Qian's injured body, so that he could not move. "Lin Muyu, what do you want?" Zhao Qian's eyes widened. "I am the Deputy Region Master of the Devouring Heaven Domain. Do you dare to kill me?" "Of course I don't dare to kill you." Lin Muyu smiled, "but I want you to bring a gift for me to Senior Situ Yun." As she spoke, Lin Muyu suddenly opened her palm, and a powerful suction force was generated in the space. Zhao Qian screamed and his head felt like it was about to explode. The godhead in his eye trembled slowly, and Zhao Qian could not control it anymore. Soon, wisps of light appeared in front of Zhao Qian's brow, and in the blink of an eye, they formed a cast immortal lattice. It was Zhao Qian's godhead. "Ah!" Zhao Qian screamed in pain and kept begging, "Leader Lin, please stop. I'm willing to submit to you and I'm willing to join the Dragon League. Please don't destroy my cultivation, please." Lin Muyu's voice was calm. "That's not what you said before. You said you wanted to destroy the entire wind spirit domain, and take people's wives and children. How can I believe someone like you?" As soon as she finished speaking, Lin Muyu suddenly grabbed the cast immortal lattice and cut off the connection between it and Zhao Qian. With a miserable howl, Zhao Qian plummeted towards the ground. He had already lost his cultivation as a god, and he had even lost the ability to fly. Nangong Lai laughed. "Zhao Qian has been destroyed. Do you still want to resist to the end?" A saber light slashed toward his cheek. The blade was sharp and it was at least a God Emperor realm expert. "Damn it!" Nangong Lai dodged to the side. His cheek was scratched by the saber energy and he said angrily, "Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." Lin Muyu, on the other hand, held on to her godhood and leaped tens of meters into the air. The place where she was just standing had already been swallowed up by a flaming whirlpool. She did not know which gods had created this whirlpool. The battle between gods was too terrifying. It had the power to destroy the heavens and the earth. If she did not protect herself well, it would be easy for her to be swallowed up by the aftershocks. Boom, 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 3 consecutive sword energies blasted into the city wall, and instantly the 100-meter wall of the domain castle collapsed. She didn't know which bastard did this, but she knew that the wind spirit domain was no longer habitable. Not too far away, a pillar of fire shot up into the sky. Twisting around like a tornado, it slammed into the crowd. Lin Muyu knew that this was the handiwork of Tang Xiaoxi. How tyrannical was the Flame Master God? The moment Tang Xiaoxi went berserk, no one would be able to get near her. On the other side, Qin Yin held the East Flower Sword and slashed several times in the air. Suddenly, several opponents were killed. "Finish it quickly," Lin Muyu shouted. This time they couldn't keep any captives. It was wisest to leave as soon as possible. Otherwise, once the main force of the heaven-devouring territory came, they wouldn't be able to leave even if they wanted to. In less than the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the thousands of God realm experts of the realm of heaven devouring were defeated and fled. Nangong Lai and Ling Songhan didn't chase after them. They quickly counted the number of people and flew away without taking the treasures of the realm of wind spirit. Leader, why didn't you kill that bastard Zhao Qian? Ling Songhan couldn't help but frown and ask. Lin Muyu said, Zhao Qian's godhead has been extracted by me. He's now a useless man. There's not much difference between killing him and not killing him. Don't tell me you don't want to kill him? Ling Songhan said, Zhao Qian destroyed my home and bullied the weak for so many years because of the heaven-devouring territory behind him. I really want to kill him. Don't worry. He's lost his cultivation now. Keeping him alive is more painful than killing him. That's true. But I still don't understand why you don't want to kill him. Killing Zhao Qian now will only anger Situ Yun. The Dragon League can't officially start a war with the heaven-devouring territory for now. At least let Zhao Qian go back alive. Situ Yun will be angry, but at least he won't feel humiliated. Yes, I understand. Ling Songhan had just joined the Dragon League. He knew he couldn't ask too many questions. After all, even someone like Nangong Lai was respectful to Lin Muyu, the leader. He couldn't overstep his boundaries. Qin Yin flew over and opened her palm. There were a few glittering godheads. She smiled and said, they're all heavenly Tao godheads with pure power. They can greatly speed up Sister Xian's cultivation. Lin Muyu took out Zhao Qian's forged immortal godhead and put it in her hand. She said, this is faster. Zhao Qian's godhead is more powerful. Help me give it to Sister Xian. Yes. Chapter 1070. In the devouring heaven domain, the main hall was filled with jade-green spirit stones. Everyone had different expressions on their faces and seemed to be discussing something. Situ Yun had a weather-beaten face and looked to be in his 40s. His eyes were cold as he said, Men, bring Deputy Domain Lord Zhao Qian in. Yes. 4 God State experts carried a stretcher and walked in. Zhao Qian was lying on it. At this moment, Zhao Qian's face was pale and his body was covered in blood. Because his godhead had been extracted, his body was like a river that had lost its water source, trembling. When everyone put him down, Zhao Qian immediately rolled on the ground and knelt there, sobbing. Deputy Region Lord, is this the work of Lin Muyu? Situ Yun asked. Yes, Region Lord. Please, Region Lord, you must uphold justice for me. Zhao Qian kowtowed repeatedly and said, Lin Muyu had the foresight and led tens of thousands of people to defeat the troops of the heaven-devouring realm. I was outnumbered and defeated, and my godhead was extracted. I hope the Domain Lord can grant me a new refined godhead, so that I can quickly regain my cultivation. You want a divine spark? Situ Yun squinted. Deputy Region Lord, do you think there's a chance for you to regain your cultivation? Of course, of course. Zhao Qian's body trembled. He suddenly turned to look at the other Region Lords, his eyes filled with pleading. Unexpectedly, the Region Lords all turned around and did not look at him. The world was fickle, and Zhao Qian had always been an arrogant villain, relying on his cultivation to do as he pleased. Now that retribution had come so quickly, the Region Lords could not wait for him to die. Zheng Xian of the Falling Star Domain was the only one who frowned and said, Domain Lord. Deputy Domain Lord Zhao Qian was injured because of his loyalty to the heaven-devouring domain. I hope the Domain Lord can bestow him with a godhead on account of his past contributions. I believe Deputy Domain Lord Zhao Qian will be able to serve the heaven-devouring domain again after cultivating it. Really? Situ Yun smiled faintly. Since Hall Lord Zheng Xian has said so, someone take a divine spark from the treasury and give it to Deputy Region Lord Zhao Qian to refine. Yes. A godly king subordinate turned around and left. Zhao Qian was stunned. Only the heavenly Tao lattice? Domain Lord, we have a cast immortal lattice in our treasury. Forged immortal lattice. Situ Yun sneered. Deputy Region Master, do you think you still have the ability to refine the forged immortal lattice? Furthermore, the cast immortal lattice's spiritual power is too vigorous, and it's not suitable for the current Deputy Region Master. A heavenly Tao lattice is enough. There's still a long way to go, and recovering your strength isn't something that can be done in a day. I hope that Deputy Region Master doesn't rush things. Alright, thank you for the reward, Territorial Lord. Zhao Qian was disappointed. He stood up and was about to leave with the help of 2 Hierarch Realm experts. Deputy Region Master Zhao, don't go yet, Situ Yun suddenly said. Zhao Qian was stunned. What's wrong, Governor? Is there anything else? Yes, leave behind your Deputy Region Master's golden token. What? Zhao Qian was shocked. Situ Yun said, Deputy Region Master Zhao, you need to refine and produce a new divine lattice. I'm afraid it'll take at least 1.5 years to complete. Moreover, your current condition isn't suitable to handle the affairs of the domain. Therefore, someone else will temporarily take over your position. After all, the affairs of the entire Devouring Heaven domain cannot be stopped. I hope that Deputy Region Master can forgive me. Once your strength is restored, the position of Deputy Region Master will naturally belong to you. Governor, Zhao Qian took out the golden token from his chest and placed it on the ground. His eyes were filled with despair. He kowtowed to Situ Yun before turning around and leaving. His figure looked very lonely. The dignified number 2 expert of the Devouring Heaven domain had ended up like this. It was really sad and lamentable. Zheng Xian, Du Xing and the other hall masters looked at Zhao Qian's departure with a sad expression on their faces. Perhaps Zhao Qian's present was their future. Everyone knew that the Devouring Heaven domain master Situ Yun was a merciless person, but no one dared to say anything. Ahem, Situ Yun lightly coughed twice and said, Zhao Qian has already been removed from the position of Deputy Region Lord. I intend to choose 2 more hall masters to take on the position of Deputy Region Lord. They will help me share my burdens. I don't know if anyone wants to recommend themselves? The dozens of hall masters were dumbfounded. They used to be the region masters of the major domains, but now standing here they felt very insignificant. Today, the Devouring Heaven domain was a super large domain with tens of thousands of godly state experts. To be able to become the Deputy Region Master of the Devouring Heaven domain was far more glorious than being a region master of a small domain. Among the crowd, a person stepped forward and said, I'm willing to try. I wonder if the Region Master thinks that I'm suitable to be the Deputy Region Master and serve the Devouring Heaven domain with everyone else? The person who spoke was Du Xing, the former Region Master of the Gale domain of the 12 Northern Domains. He was a 91st level Grotto Heaven expert and one of the stronger hall masters of the Devouring Heaven domain. Ah, very good, very good. Situ Yun said, Hall Master Du Xing is a person of virtue and prestige in the Northern region. You are the most suitable to be the Deputy Region Master of the Devouring Heaven domain. Come, this position is yours from now on. Whoosh. The golden badge flew out of his hand and was caught by Du Xing the next moment. He knelt on one knee and said, Thank you, Region Master. Everyone said in unison, Congratulations, Deputy Region Master Du. Congratulations. Du Xing's face was flushed with joy. Situ Yun smiled and said, The Devouring Heaven domain is already a super large domain. A Deputy Region Master is far from enough. Is there any other hall masters who are willing to be the Deputy Region Master? The group of hall masters fell silent again. A few of them were eager to try, but they seemed to be afraid that it was not enough, so they stood there uneasily. After a while, finally, one of them walked out and knelt on one knee and said, Region Master, Zheng Xian is willing to try. Zheng Xian of the Falling Star domain was at the 87th level Grotto Heaven. In terms of cultivation, more than half of the hall masters here were stronger than him. Situ Yun squinted and said with a smile, Hall Master Zheng Xian's cultivation is profound and his saber skills are sharp, but in terms of cultivation level, he is not very outstanding. If you want to be the Deputy Region Master, at least give me a reason that can convince me, Situ Yun, right? My reason is hatred. Zheng Xian's eyes were resolute. I hate Lin Muyu, I hate the Dragon League. From the moment the treasure seizing conference began, they have been taking everything away from me. I can't wait to tear Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, Feng Zhanlin and the others into pieces. I can't wait to crush the Dragon League and turn them into ashes. But I know that my strength is not enough, and I have to rely on everyone's strength. Even if I become the Deputy Region Master, I will just be a servant of everyone here, working for everyone, bowing and bowing, because you will avenge me in the Falling Star domain, you will kill my enemies. Good. Du Xing was the first to applaud. Situ Yun also smiled and said, But hatred is indeed a power that comes from the depths of life. Then in the future, I hope Deputy Region Master Zheng Xian will take care of the affairs of the Devouring Heaven domain. A golden token flew straight into Zheng Xian's hand. He prostrated himself on the ground, trembling with excitement or nervousness. Thank you, Domain Lord. Thank you, Hall Masters. I Jing Xian will do my best to serve the heaven-devouring region. Get up. You are now the Deputy Region Master, one of the three venerables. Yes. Zheng Xian stood up and stood on both sides of Situ Yun with Du Xing. Situ Yun's eyes turned cold. Lin Muyu has repeatedly challenged the dignity of the devouring heaven domain, and now she has injured the former Deputy Region Master Zhao Qian. How do you think we should deal with the aggression of the Dragon League? There are tens of thousands of immortal state warriors in the devouring heaven domain. Why should we be afraid of the Dragon League? A hall master said in a low voice. As long as we gather our strength and rush to the south, destroy the Falling Star domain first, and then Dragon City, we will destroy the foundation of the Dragon League. Even if Lin Muyu has 3 heads and 6 arms, what can she do? That's not a good idea. Zheng Xian shook his head. Lin Muyu is far more powerful than Hall Master Lu thinks. Not to mention how powerful Lin Muyu's supreme godhead is. Lin Muyu's right-hand men are already very powerful. The 4 ancestral sorcerers, the Seraph Shi Yen, whose strength is rapidly recovering, and Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi, who are among the 12 main deities. Not to mention that the Dragon League has merged with the Mystic Heaven Domain and the Wind Spirit Domain. Nangong Lai and Ling Songhan are also very difficult to deal with. If we want to destroy the Dragon League, we need a long-term plan. Situ Yun smiled. What do you have in mind, Deputy Region Master Zheng? Yes, we will destroy them one by one. What do you mean? Zheng Xian smiled. As far as I know, Shi Yen is cultivating in the Cave of Gods and Demons, and there are no guards around. As long as we gather the strongest immortal state warriors in the heaven-devouring realm, we will definitely be able to kill Shi Yen, who has not yet reached her peak strength. However, there is a certain degree of danger because Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and Tang Xiaoxi may also be in the Cave of Gods and Demons. Situ Yun frowned. Doesn't that mean you didn't say anything? That's not the case. There are a few other targets that we can hunt. Candle Dragon, with thousands of immortal state warriors, is in the west of us, thousands of miles away from the Falling Star domain where Lin Muyu is. Candle Dragon is just a chess piece used to control the Falling Star domain. In this case, we can kill this chess piece when it is unprepared. Kill Candle Dragon? Du Xing said, I'm afraid it won't be easy. Candle Dragon is one of the 4 ancestral sorcerers, and he is very powerful. It won't be easy to kill him. Not necessarily. Situ Yun smiled and said, Candle Dragon is a human after all. As long as we are determined, there is no need to worry about not being able to kill him. Du Xing said, but Candle Dragon has thousands of immortal state warriors with him. Zheng Xian smiled. Deputy Region Master Du, don't worry. Candle Dragon is frivolous and arrogant, and he is very confident in his strength. We can set a trap. I Zheng Xian will lure Candle Dragon out, and the Region Master will ambush outside with the experts of the realm. Once Candle Dragon comes, we will attack together, and we will definitely be able to kill this 96th level ancestral sorcerer. Situ Yun couldn't help but laugh. Wonderful. Deputy Region Master Zheng is indeed the star of the heaven-devouring realm. Chapter 1071. In the Fire Lion region, a fiery red fortress stood in the middle of a vast forest. This fortress had a long history, but ever since the region Lord Zhuang Fei was killed, this fortress had fallen into the hands of the Dragon League. Now, thousands of godly state experts were stationed here, and it was the northernmost line of defense of the Dragon League. Under the scorching sun, prey were strolling and hunting in the forest outside the fortress of the Fire Lion region. Water beasts were drinking water by the river, and hissing sounds could be heard from the shore. It was a shapeless person with a long wriggling body and a tongue sticking out. It was Zhu Long. Zhu Long had ascended to become a sorcerer deity with the body of a snake, so he naturally retained his most primitive habits. After coming out of the ancestral sorcerer's illusion, hunting had become his greatest pleasure. Hiss! After a sharp hiss, 2 water beasts were instantly devoured, leaving only messy fur on the ground. Zhu Long patted his stomach in satisfaction, a happy smile on his face. Suddenly an aura disappeared, and Zhu Long could not help but frown. His body flew close to the surface of the ground at high speed. He pulled out the sword at his waist and slashed in the air. There was a dang sound and sparks flew. This sword had actually slashed on a steel blade. It was a willow leaf blade. That person retreated in panic. His body was faintly glowing with divine power. He was an expert in the God Emperor realm. Zhu Long chuckled. Are you a spy? Don't go, stay and play with Grandpa. Zheng Xian swept through the forest like a gust of wind, moving at an incredible speed. He cultivated in the law of the wind to begin with, so escaping was his specialty. However, as he was fleeing, the grass in front of him suddenly grew at a crazy rate. Every strand of grass was like a venomous snake, twisting around Zheng Xian's feet and trying to devour him. Get lost. Zheng Xian's body spun rapidly, and his butterfly knife slashed with all his might. Immediately the grass and vines were shattered by the sharp knife energy, but Zhu Long's attack came from behind. His long sword had a penetrative power that could destroy everything. Zheng Xian gritted his teeth and crossed his two knives in front of his chest. With a low roar he condensed a thick wind shield. Blood splattered everywhere. Zheng Xian was actually unable to withstand Zhu Long's attack. He spat out a mouthful of blood and flew backward. Like a cannonball, his body was blasted by Zhu Long's sword, breaking countless trees and falling into the distant forest. Zhu Long frowned. Is the heaven-devouring territory really that powerful? Are all the scouts they send so powerful? Who cares? Let's kill and eat him first. He licked his lips and his face was full of killing intent. His figure turned into a shadow and chased after them. On the other side of the forest there were a few people sitting on a cliff. One of them was Situ Yun and there were more than 10 other people. They were all great perfection divine emperors. The elites of the heaven-devouring region were all here. Du Xing gripped his saber and said, "Domain Lord, they're here." Yes. Deputy Region Lord Jing Xian is so pitiful. Amidst the sound of trees snapping, Jing Xian was sent flying like a ball. His body smashed through dozens of trees before slamming into a stone wall, causing the entire mountain ridge to tremble. Zheng Xian's collision was truly tragic, but he had achieved his goal. Zhu Long was now standing in front of everyone. He stretched out his arms and the two thin swords buzzed. Ancient Xian energy flowed rapidly. Zhu Long looked at the top of the hill and laughed. "I know there are helpers. Come out, let me see how strong the people of the heaven-devouring region are." Situ Yun's heart trembled. What an arrogant and unruly Zhu Long. He knew there was an ambush but he still came. How confident was he in his own strength? Situ Yun reached to his waist and suddenly, a dazzling battle axe appeared in his hand. His face was full of smiles and he said, "Then there's no need to hide. Go kill Zhu Long." When Situ Yun appeared in the air with the divine battle axe, Zhu Long was instantly stunned. You? That's Gong Gong's axe. Who are you?" "Ah, uncle, it's not easy to recognize Gong Gong's axe." Situ Yun laughed. Zhu Long frowned. "You're Gong Gong's son, Go Long? What do you think, uncle?" Situ Yun waved the battle axe in his hand, and his eyes were full of hatred. "Chi Yu ordered you 4 ancestors to guard the original spirit, and now you've surrendered to a mortal boy like Lin Muyu. Uncle, you've really disappointed me." "You're really Go Long?" Zhu Long's face was full of shock. "Otherwise?" Situ Yun's face was full of hatred. "After my father died in battle, I was exiled to this barren land, changed my surname and finally became a supreme being. I didn't expect that, uncle. The 4 of you would forget the teachings of ancestor Chi Yu and be tamed by a little boy from the mortal world. Humph, you're the shame of the 12 ancestors, the shame of the 9 Li clan." Zhu Long said coldly, "Since you're Go Long, you should surrender to the new clan leader with us. Lin Muyu has the supremacy in the Star Stone, she is the successor of Chi Yu and our new leader." Situ Yun smiled. "Is that so? Then you'll have to ask my Gong Gong's axe and see if it agrees to uncle's request." Zhu Long also smiled. "Boy, since you're so stubborn, then I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your father." "That's exactly what I wanted." Situ Yun brazenly descended from the sky while holding the Gong Gong axe with both of his hands. The entire sky was covered with frost, and the ice Shen power rushed towards the Gong Gong axe like a tidal wave. His momentum was extremely astonishing. Even Du Xing and the others had forgotten to take action. Very few people had seen Situ Yun take action, and they had never thought that once he took action, it would be so terrifying. Zhu Long looked coldly at Situ Yun, who had jumped high in the sky and didn't say anything. He waved his sword, and the space distorted, turning into a dimensional storm that rushed towards Situ Yun's axe. Bang! The earth shook and with just one blow, the hill on the side had been completely shattered. The powerful destructive force swept through the surroundings, uprooting the trees in the jungle and turning the cattail grass on the ground into powder. The strong storm blew around, and Du Xing and the others couldn't even open their eyes. In just a minute, Situ Yun had consecutively chopped the axe 9 times, and each chop was stronger than the previous one. The surrounding ground had become pale and frozen. When the wind dissipated, a glacier appeared on the ground out of thin air, and in the depths of the glacier, Zhulong was frozen motionless. 1. Du Xing was shocked. Situ Yun stood proudly in the air with the axe in his hand, without saying a word. There was no shadow. A wisp of blood-red light gradually penetrated through the small gap of the glacier, and condensed into the shape of Zhulong. The illusion was not afraid of the attack of the frost. When Zhulong's body reformed, he took a deep breath and said, "I didn't expect you to have mastered the 9 ice soul strikes. This is a unique skill that even your father couldn't master completely. You really are better than your father, but the 9 ice soul strikes still can't kill you." Situ Yun looked calm. Zhulong smiled faintly and said, "Yes, when your father was alive he might not be my opponent, let alone a stupid boy like you. You ignored the instability of your foundation and forcibly broke through to the 97th heavenly cave, but so what? You are not my opponent. Admit defeat, I will spare your life since you are the descendant of the 12 ancestors of witches. My life doesn't need your forgiveness." Situ Yun smiled slightly and said, "You'd better think about your own future." What? Zhulong was slightly shocked. In the air, Situ Yun once again raised his battle axe, and a stronger attack was coming. Zhulong quickly condensed the power of space, and his eyes were fixed on Situ Yun in the air, but at this moment, suddenly there was a sound of wind breaking. No, the real killer move was not from Situ Yun. A fiery red arrow instantly penetrated Zhulong's chest, and the golden arrow hit the ice with a ding sound and quickly melted. It was just an arrow in the form of energy. You? Zhulong looked up at the sky, and it was a young God Emperor realm expert, holding a fiery red longbow in his hand. It was the first-class divine artifact, Ho Yi Bao. Well done, Su Chuan. Situ Yun smiled slightly. The young man smiled faintly and said, "Thank you for the praise, Domain Lord." As soon as he finished speaking, he quickly pulled the bowstring again, and suddenly, a fiery sun-shooting arrow condensed on the bowstring, and with a whoosh, the arrow shot into Zhulong's shoulder the moment it left the bowstring. This was not a shooting because the arrow did not have a flight trajectory, and the moment it was shot, it had already hit the target. Wah! Zhulong groaned and blood spurted out wildly. The attack of Ho Yi Bao could not be avoided, he already understood. And who was the young man in the air? Was he the descendant of Zhulong? His appearance was somewhat similar to his. Puff puff puff. Several arrows were shot in succession and Zhulong did not dodge any of them. His chest was already stained with blood, and each and every one of his wounds was shocking. "Uncle, it seems that I have to send you off." Situ Yun slowly landed, his face full of pride. Zhulong smiled faintly and said, "When I don't want to die, no one can kill me." "Is that so?" "Yes." Zhulong smiled bitterly, and his body suddenly began to fade, and his right arm slowly turned into particles of light that dissipated in the wind. He was about to escape with the wind. "You want to escape like this?" Situ Yun roared, and his left hand was like an eagle's claw, filled with divine power, and suddenly grabbed Zhulong's left arm and shouted, "Die for me, don't even think of escaping." However, the torch dragon's body disappeared like a pile of ashes. Die. Gong raised his axe and suddenly chopped on Zhulong's left arm, blood splattered, and a living arm was grabbed by Situ Yun, but Zhulong's body still dissipated with the wind. He was an expert in illusion, and just like what he said, when Zhulong did not want to die, no one could kill him. Damn it, he ran away. Situ Yun gritted his teeth. Du Xing and the others were dumbfounded and did not know what to say. Although they were all God Emperors, they might not be a match for Situ Yun even if they joined forces. And in the air, the young man holding Ho Yi Bao smiled and said, "Domain Lord, don't be angry, the destructive power of the sun-shooting arrow will make his wounds unable to heal. Even if Zhulong escapes, he will only be a cripple. And that's for the best." Situ Yun's eyes turned cold and said, "Immediately gather the people and attack the Fire Lion region." Yes. That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.